You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks, what is happening? Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. We got a lot to cover, a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be a fun night, and a couple of gentlemen that need absolutely zero introduction. We got Dr. Chris and Marcus J. Allen back in the house. Glad to have them back. I feel like we got the band back together. It's going to be a fun night. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Ready to
Going
rock.
good. Likewise.
Chris, you well rested. You were just telling me that you went on a fishing trip. Good for you, buddy.
Yep. Nice little getaway, no stress, covered fishing trip. Good times.
Did you catch anything?
I did. Cut 2 striper.
Nice. That's awesome. Marcus, what you been up to?
Yesterday, I was at the range actually trying to do a mock setup. We got a mock roof, 9-degree angle, 143 yards, 3 different variants of 30-06. We got the Mauser 98K, 24-inch barrel. Got some filming done, so I'm making a video now, but I wasn't able to finish it in time before this podcast. I was just working on it. But yes, head's still in this, trying to figure this out, man. I mean, I feel like we should have more answers by now, but like the more time that passes, the more conspiracies that come out. And I'm trying to honestly try to just block a lot of it out and just stay focused on what we can see, what are the facts, what kind of ballistics things can we expect at the extreme degrees as far as accuracy deviations and compromised integrity of rounds and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to talk about what I found out, and also comparing that with you, Gary. I seen your video that just came out as far as the trauma to TCCC, kind of explaining what the kind of procedures the team would have been doing to try to save Charlie, making sense of that. I thought that was really awesome. And I also want to ask you, have you done any ballistics testing, terminal ballistic testing yet?
I'm glad you brought that up. So I know a lot of people have been asking about that. Folks, I'm still waiting on a couple sets of body armor. I've had that body armor on order for over 2.5 weeks. I do have the 2 ballistic dummies. And realistically, I think the range that I'm going to have to go to be able to get that 10-degree angle is where we do our long range at. And it's about 2.5 hours away. Probably going to do that next weekend. I'll talk about the fact that I'm going to, I almost said Butler. I'll be going to UVU early next week, and already talked to several folks that I'll be linking up with, so I'm looking forward to that as well. We'll talk about all that. Before I get into any further, I do want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. Thank you guys for showing up, and we'll give it just a couple more minutes, and we'll kind of go over some chat rules. We'll talk about the format, all those good things. For those of you that are regulars, you guys know the deal. So yeah. Let me see what we got here. We are going to go ahead and
I think it's awesome you're going to UVU. That is, and you said you're going to actually get a full mapping as far as geo measurements, spatial measurements, angles, and just get because everything's hearsay. And I'm telling you, I was at the range yesterday. I was looking at this angle, 9 degrees. It's really hard to imagine that he was on a roof of a 3rd-story building while Charlie was in a depression concave amphitheater, and that was only 9 degrees. I still don't fully believe that, so I'm really glad you're going to see it with your own eyes, and I'm going to trust your measurements much more than I'm trusting the hearsay of the internet.
Well, I even did the calculations, and that's what it comes out to. But you're right into not even trusting that, and the reason being is that because we're going off of Google Earth elevation, and especially once you start putting elevation on top of buildings, things get weird on Google Earth. So that could all be trash. It could be at a much larger angle, and that's exactly why we're going to go do what we're going to do. So the 3D, it's a 3D drone surveying drone, right? And the guy that's going to do it, I hired him. We're going to go down there, and that thing will give us a fidelity of plus or minus about 1 inch to 2 inches
Awesome.
on all the terrain features out there. So we're going to have much better information. And that angle may end up changing because, like I said, everybody I calculated the angle. I'm not trying to say I'm first, but I'm pretty sure I was the first one to do it. I know Chris Martinson did it later. But I also know, because I talked to Chris, like he got that off of, well, I don't know if that came up specifically, but I'm assuming that came off of Google Earth as well. So, and he came up with a very similar number as mine. So I'm assuming that. So yeah, I mean, it could all be off because we don't know what the error for Google Earth is.
I did the math, Gary, too, again, just based off of Google, based off of looking at terrain features from video that was taken, either cell phone or whatever. But I came up, again, with a similar number as you. But again, it's just a guess because I wasn't physically there. I don't know the heights of all those buildings. But I'd be interested to see what other buildings look like and what those angles look like, and kind of imagining, where people are saying other shooters could have been. Would it have been possible, or would the degree of angle be too steep and the bullet would have had to have gone through the tent to actually reach him and that sort of thing? So I'd be curious to see what you come up with. But I also would like to know how easy it is to access some of those other routes that people say the shooter might have been at.
Yeah, and look, I want to try to get there and get as much. I actually want to be able to walk as much as I can. I don't know how much access I'll get. Like I plan on I haven't made contact because these plans were just finalized late last night. I'm going to try to reach out to UVU administration and just kind of tell them who I am, what I plan on doing, and see if we can get access to it. I have my doubts that they're going to give me access to what I want. But again, I am linking up with a UVU alumni, and then another person just reached out and maybe linking up with them. I don't know. We're going to go as far as we can and do what we can. And the other thing, one of the reasons that I want to talk tonight is kind of get some ideas from the chat and from you guys. I kind of have this idea and plan in my mind of what we're going to do, but there's always, I can tell you this because when I went to Butler and we did a 3D drone mapping there, like when I got back and started talking about this stuff, a lot of people brought up like, hey, you should have got this. I was like, yeah, I should have. So I want to make sure that we dot all our I's and cross all our T's because it'll be hard to get back just time wise. So we want to get everything that we can out of that one trip for sure.
Gary, did you find that your measurements from Google correlated well to what you found in person when you did it at Butler?
No, they didn't correlate very well at all, as a matter of fact.
Okay, interesting.
Like, again, when you're trying to get elevation from the rooftops and stuff like that, and you're trying to do a comparative elevation, like, hey, this is at this height, and let's say the water tower and the AGR building, like it would give you completely incorrect. If you had the cursor on top of the water tower and then the cursor at the top of like that differential was completely wrong. So what if Google Earth is getting it wrong and
it's not taking into account the concave of the amphitheater, but maybe it's just doing some kind of well, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. You're going to get it, so I'm just going to wait until you get it because I think 9 degrees is too shallow for what just logically thinking it through. 3rd story roof building plus concave. That doesn't make sense to me. It's 9 degrees.
Okay, well, then if we assume it's a higher degree angle, then that completely throws out what Stephen Gardner was saying about what happened to his spine, because the more angle you get, the further away you're getting from C2 and some of those other ones. So it makes it harder to explain if that medical information is accurate.
Yeah. Real quick, chat. I want to kind of lay out some rules. Number one, we'll go ahead and get hard and heavy into this. Number one, we're going to talk a little bit, and then we will definitely include you guys. We will prioritize the super chats, but we will try to get to as many of the live questions and comments as possible as well. Keep it civil over there. This is an adult show. It means no name calling, no ad hominems. Like, we're just going to boot you. If you are typing in all caps, I'm just going to not pay attention to. So yes, there are rules, Rick Jackson. There are rules because we want to keep this orderly and we want to be able to enjoy one another's company and talk and all those other good things. Yeah. So Marcus, let's start off. I want to hear your results from the range.
So I find it interesting. It's not like groundbreaking breaking news like I see every second on the news. Like it seems like every second either Candace or Alex Jones like breaking news, and then they say something that's like just some huge speculation. I don't have that for you, but just some good old fashioned in-person testing. Here's what I found. So I used three common 30-06 rounds, M2 military ball, 168 grain, Hornady Superformance, 180 grain, Federal TXS, 165 grain. So pretty common rounds. Preferably, I was favoring the M2 military ball aged round just because I'm leaning towards something that explains the lack of velocity potentially, something that maybe his grandpa passed down and just had around with his Mauser. And so I used mostly that, but I did 3-round groupings with each one. And I started with M2 because we had more M2 available to us, and it was cheaper than spending some of our Hornady and Federal stuff. So we zeroed with that, got a sub MOA grouping at 100 yards, and then with the same zero, not touching it, moved over to the Hornady Superformance, and the zero was exactly the same. A 3-round grouping, center, basically matched what I saw with the M2 rounds. Then I moved to the Federal TXS, and good shots. They felt like good shots. And 3-round grouping, almost MOA group within an inch, but it was 4 inches high, 4 inches right at 100 yards with the Federal. And that one had a soft tip, I believe. So interesting, right? I just thought, okay, the further I take that back, 160 yards, dispersion would be a little bit more. And of course, we know Charlie was shot here. So my current theory is that the shooter would have been aiming center, showing so many signs of incompetency and carelessness with etching his rounds and how he mounted his scope. I think he would have been in the mindset of like, I'm lucky to hit him, so let me just aim at the biggest target possible. I don't think he would have been bold enough to aim for a headshot. So given that. And that shot, if he was aiming here, was high and right, from the shooter's perspective, high and right. Then here I am with this Federal ammo that was shooting high and right in a group, and so it's soft tip as well. So it's just a little data point that I'm noting is potentially a different lot. He could have zeroed with one lot, and then at the last second used a different round, a soft tip, and then potentially it could have accounted for that high right. A hit to the neck potentially, or he was just a really bad shot. Because after that, I let the rifle cool down to become a cold bore again, and then I simulated like a kind of the cold bore shot from 160 yards, and the deviation from taking the rifle back another 60 yards with the angle is just nominal, less than an inch. So I'm trying to figure out why it was so off, why he hit that way. And other theories rather than just the fact that he was some kid who had a little bit of experience with the gun.
Well, it could have been bad fundamentals or breathing, or we don't know how steady his position was up there. That is interesting for sure. Speaking of which, somebody sent me in, and I apologize for not knowing your name. I'll pull it out because I still have the letter and everything else. But this is 30-06 ammo from 14 December 1966. So that'll be going into the test pile. That was really cool. I really appreciate you guys, sir, the guy that sent that to me. And again, I have his name, and I feel bad. I need to put a post-it note and have his name on there so I can remember it. So have you found that, Gary, that certain rounds will have a completely different zero, and to that extent being at 100 yards, 4 inches high and right? Do you see that very often or ever? Now, did you have those on a chronograph? I did. Oh, I only chronographed the M2 military ball, which is coming in around 2,600 feet per second. I didn't do that for the Hornady or the Federal. And it's the Federal that I had the most questions about because it was just completely different zero than my M2 and my Hornady. The Hornady or the Federal was the one that was, you said, at 4 inches high? Yeah. And 4 inches high and 4 inches right. That is weird. And it grouped like that, huh? I mean, it grouped. If it was just a one-off, I wouldn't be talking about it. It grouped 3 shots back to back in an MOA group
right after shooting those other two in three in groups of three, and all of them were in a about a MOA circle. So that just was interesting. I wasn't expecting that to be that off with just changing casings or cartridge types.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you, because I mean, there's going to be a lot of ammo out there that is going to be running, especially with 30-06, that's going to be running closer to 2,900 feet per second. I bet a velocity on that would have at least told us a little bit. And of course, when you have that much more velocity, you are going to have some difference in harmonics, which could alter that, left or right as well. That is interesting. Are you gonna redo that test or do more testing with that ammo?
I would like to, of course. I'll do my best. At this moment, we don't have anything planned. It was hard to make that happen.
Sure.
Here in California, I had to drive an hour and a half just to get somewhere in the desert to shoot it, and then so I'll try my best. But this is doing the best I can. I'm more so looking forward to what you find, because your range and facilities and ballistics and terminal conclusions are gonna, I think, be a lot more elaborate than what I was able to do. But I'll definitely keep trying.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, like you were saying, Chris, if that angle changes significantly, that leads a lot more. And like I feel like that keeps happening with this. Like sometimes we find new stuff out, and it creates more questions than it does answers, time and time again. Which again, this is one of the reasons. Look, I had this guy, just full disclosure, I had this guy contact me, and yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. Spent about an hour on the phone with him. This guy is a ballistician, like a legit ballistician, a physicist. He's worked on developing ammunition for DevGru and the Secret Service, and he has a lot of experience. So I'd be silly to kind of just write him off. And he was saying that, he gave me some ideas and some things in a position that he thinks that a different shooter was in with a different type of ammo altogether. From what I could see on the map, and this is what really solidified the need to do this, what I can see on Google Earth, I don't think that there's a clear shot. I don't even think there's a place to hide. But I think number one, getting that data and having a 3D rendering of that entire area and being able to put that out to the public, everybody out there, I don't care what you believe, if you believe space aliens came down and killed Charlie while riding on a drone controlled by the Jews, you'll be able to take a look at some of that information and you'll be able to determine it. Other people will be able to sanity check you, and everybody can. It's just more information that everybody needs. So for people that are out there trying to find the truth, regardless of what you believe in, we're going to get that data. We're going to share that publicly and get that information out to you, and everybody can go crazy. And hopefully, between the collective, I guess, we can find out more information. What's possible, what's not possible. And hopefully at the end of the day, we, separate the wheat from the chaff, and the chaff tells us exactly what did or did not happen. Go ahead, Marcus.
I wanted to ask you guys, and I think it would be interesting, since it's been a week or so since we last talked together, and I want to get a sense from you guys, has anything changed in your current positions? Whatever stance you've taken, I think we're all relatively on the same page, but I'm curious to know if perhaps there's anything different that you guys think, or anything's changed from your guys' position on what you think happened here than me. So I'm just curious to ask each of you, at this point, Chris, Gary, what do you think happened? What do you believe? What's your stance?
I'm still 60-40 or so on the bullet actually hitting some sort of ballistic protection, whether that was an actual plate, whether that was some sort of soft armor. And I think that right now the best explanation is that, along with some sort of frangible round, or maybe not even intentionally frangible, but because of it hitting a panel, we had a round that did frange. I think that would help explain a little bit because here's the other thing too, when he's hit, number one, every time I watch it, it still looks to me like he's hitting the chest first. And then his head goes up. And I think that we had either a full round or fragment upward. And then that would explain to me, because here, and Chris, you tell me if I'm wrong, if we had an impact up here by the collarbone and we did have, let's say we had a piece of that round or fragments of that round penetrate through right around the collarbone area where we see that gray spot on his shirt, could that have intersected with this T1? And then if we had fragments go upward, we see this irregular entry wound. And then we also have fragments at the C1, 2, or C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. Is that plausible, Chris?
I guess it depends on how much deflection there was and how much it fragmented and all that stuff. As far as location, yes, being near T1 would make sense.
Look, a fragmenting round, whether it was intentional, in that it actually was a frangible round fragmenting, that's complete speculation on my part, other than from what I see. I mean, the rest of it so far, I haven't seen anything convincing that we have rounds coming from a different direction, and I haven't seen any other evidence of a different shooter. I don't think we have enough information that says, definitively that those rounds came from Tyler or that location. But I think every bit of evidence points to that so far, in that it rules out almost every other possibility that I've seen being proposed.
So the only thing that's really changed somewhat for me is potentially, and I'm going to say like 90-10, 10 being the possibility of the round coming from a different direction. And the only reason I say that is it's assumption. You have to assume that the information that Stephen Gardner put out is credible. I have some issues about whether or not it's credible, but in my opinion, I don't see how you get that much cervical spine damage from a front neck entry without an exit wound. I don't see how you get that much damage. But
I agree.
If the round did come in from the right side underneath the ear and on a sharper angle, it would have hit all of those different vertebrae, because we're only talking about a span of 4.5 to 6.5 inches. The round would have been closer to him, probably on a steeper angle. But again, I don't know that you would have even been able to see him if you were that high to have that much of an angle. So there's other parts.
We lost Chris to the side angle shooter.
No. That's what I'm saying. 10%.
We're back.
I don't care if you think he was shot from the airsoft camera, air gun camera, or whatever else. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. But the rest of it doesn't make sense. So at that point, you can explain the injuries, but then you can't explain the rest of it, which is the other evidence that we actually do have. It's not concrete, but we have a crack bang. We've talked about that to an extent. And then you have eyewitnesses that were right there, all saying that it came from where, the FBI is saying it came from. The majority of them. You have some outliers. So in order for me to say it came from any other direction, I'm basically doing what Chris Martenson was doing and trying to make the ballistics fit when all the other evidence doesn't fit at that point. So I'm still going with the original theory, and whether it was body armor or not, I think he was shot from the front. I can't explain the ballistics. We've never been able to explain the ballistics other than potentially a deflection or something like that. Even a deflection, do you get all the way up to C2 with a fragment and not only C2, but you actually blow C2 out? That would have to be a pretty large fragment.
I don't know. There is some language used in the description. And are you basing, when you say blow C2 out, based on the description from Stephen Gardner?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know how accurate some of those descriptions were, and I don't know what that means. Right.
Right.
So that's some of those things because it crashed into, I think that was the actual term. I'll have to go back and look at my video and see what he said, or his video for that matter. But I don't remember the exact language I mean, what I would say is we have some sort of impact and some sort of damage on those vertebrae. And then, we're back to a little bit of, we don't know. That's essentially hearsay, right? And I have
a couple points on that, but go ahead.
And by the way, I did reach out to Stephen Gardner. I didn't know this. He's actually in Utah. That's where he's based out of, I guess not very far from Provo. So I reached out to him. If anybody knows him out there, tell him Gary would like to talk. I sent him a message on X. Would love to link up with him. Going back to you real quick on your side theory kind of thing. Look, we had Zeb Boykin on there, and from what I can tell, he's still pretty convinced that the shot came from basically the upper 4 o'clock, like a few degrees at Charlie's 4 o'clock. One of the things I want to do is get with people like him and like, hey, I'm going to go there. I'll get whatever photos and videos that you need to prove your theory, right? I'm going to steel man his argument. And so we'll get, so far, I think he's been the most credible one to propose that I've seen. So we'll talk to him and I'll ask him what information he would like. And if there's anybody out there that, feels like you have a cogent idea and it's something that you could actually present and it stand up to a little bit of scrutiny, number one, I'd welcome you on the show. And number two, if there's something while I'm in Utah that, we can get that type of information for you guys, be happy to do it. I don't want to just go there trying to, and that's not my intent, just go there and like prove my theory or whatever else. We want to get this information out and get it out to the public and, we can get to the bottom of this stuff. What were you going to say, Chris?
Yeah. So a couple things, just on the injury itself. If there's something called a hangman's fracture, it's a fracture of C2 and it's basically lights out. And it's called hangman's fracture because back in the day when they were hanging people, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but when that was happening, it would fracture, or the goal at least was to fracture C2 and people would unalive instantly. So if it did crash into C2 significantly enough to cause that kind of damage, we would see basically lights out, which did happen in this case. So that part makes sense from a physiological perspective. The other thing I was going to say is regarding the information from Stephen Gardner, and Gary, you and I talked about this a little bit offline, but on Valhalla VFT's podcast, he had a former FBI agent on there that was talking about HIPAA. And basically, once you're unalived, your privacy in HIPAA goes out the window. And that's completely inaccurate. The law protects you up to 50 years. And then the only people that can release that information are executors. And like in this case, it would have been Erica. So we don't know who the executors are. For sure, Erica, but we don't know who else potentially. So how exactly did Stephen Gardner get that information, and why would they release it to him? That's my question.
My theory on that is that while Erica is the executor, supposedly, right? I think clearly you have board members and other people within the close circle of Charlie Kirk that I think all of this information is being shared with. And whether it be Stephen Gardner or Candace potentially, I think it's somebody within that circle of executives most likely and people that are now controlling the company that have that information and or are likely sharing. Going back to the HIPAA laws, I mean, obviously if that information is evidence and it's going to be shared in court, that would sidestep HIPAA laws, right or no? How does that work?
No, because at that point, if the executor decides to release the information, regardless of whether, it's in police custody and that sort of thing, they have the right to do that because it basically becomes their information. Like they are now owners of that information.
Who are now owners? The executor or?
Yeah.
Or, so even if it was material evidence, I mean, how would that be handled? Would that be just a closed court session? I mean, obviously they'd have to talk about it, and they're going to get that information from the ME.
So And again, I was never in law enforcement, so law enforcement, and I'm also not an attorney. So my guess is they put basically like a gag order at that point and say, okay, yes, this is your information. Yes, you technically have the right to release it, but because it is part of a case, then you can't talk about it, that sort of thing. So I'm assuming that's probably what they did.
Gotcha. Interesting. What were you going to say, Marcus?
I'm just listening. I completely, I'm on the side of being skeptical of this hearsay. Like, as time goes by and more people are saying things and making claims, my mind is slowly starting to block it out, honestly, which may put me at a disadvantage. Maybe I'm not being open-minded to some new crucial piece of information that comes out. But at the risk of being pulled in all these directions, I kind of just want to stay steadfast in just the fundamentals. What do I see on the footage? What does my experience as a Marine Corps Scout Sniper teach me? What is common sense about how patsies work and second shooters work and how hits work and how different trajectories would work on a professional team, and also not disrespecting my enemies, if I can say that, so blatantly, to think that the most powerful people on earth would be so sloppy on how they try to pull this off. To me, I'm staying in that realm until I get more official evidence and more official reports from officials. And I'm really being skeptical of whatever I hear. So does that make sense? Am I crazy?
No, I think it's like, for instance, regardless of what the ballistics say, you would have a hard time convincing me, just based on the video and photos that we see of the energy dispersion and transfer, that a shot came from the left or right. That to me, like, I can't unsee.
I mean, not only can we not see it, it's such a sloppy move for a professional team to do. Yeah,
I mean, that's come up. We've stated that 100 times, and I agree. Like, it makes no sense if if this is gonna be a sophisticated hit, and we're gonna create a patsy, which I still don't really even understand why we would do that. But then if we did, why would we not have a similar trajectory? Why would we create something that? Because then you get into, like, all of the FBI has to be involved, potentially medical staff that saw his body prior to being released to the FBI and medical examiners. Like, I think, well, obviously the surgeon that again, these are unconfirmed reports, but clearly there were medical professionals that did have access to Charlie's body before. And if there was a shot in the back of the head, number one, I think that would have been released by now. I think that would have been leaked. But number two, like, that surgeon, that trauma staff, the ER people in there, they would have seen an impact if it came from the side. So yeah, that's the biggest problem that I have. And on top of that, I don't see that wound on the neck behaving as a exit wound. Do you, Chris?
Well, I don't. And even in Steven's video, where he does talk about, C2 through C6 and T1, he doesn't even say anything about an injury or an entry wound from that side. He talks about it from a front wound as well.
Yeah. So I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that part, for sure. And again, let me ask you this, Chris. Do you think it's feasible that just through the hydrostatic shock wave that we would have damage done to those upper vertebrae, C2 through C5 or whatever else?
So that's what I'm potentially thinking on the C2, where he would have had a similar style injury as a hangman's fracture, because of the whiplash and the velocity that occurred at, the speed, the rate, the pressure, all those different things. So he could have had such a whiplash injury to have also caused that hangman's fracture type of injury.
Because I do have if there were actually bullet fragments in C2 through whatever else, I almost think that, like, just a direct shot to the neck, I have a hard time seeing how bullet fragments would go upward and possibly downward too, right? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's crazy. I think It doesn't make any sense at all. And things that are truthful tend to add clarity, right? Like, just in general, a good rule of thumb I go is like, I know when I hear something true, usually I'm put at more ease because I feel like, oh, that makes sense. But when I hear something that's a lie, usually it always opens up more questions than I had before. And so is that a hard and fast rule? No, anything could happen. But just when I hear something, I'm like, what? Now I have more questions. Usually there's something to question the integrity of that information. The truth should always bring more clarity, right? Like, usually. And
yeah,
so
I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, look, the one thing that we're hung up on is the ballistics. I think most of us agree with that, right? So we're hung up on the ballistics, and it's the least predictable science or anything else that we're dealing with in all this. So there can definitely be some anomalous behaviors that are taking place, and
Sure.
just weird things happening. Again, we've all talked about, like, there could be a projectile that was used. They could have hand loaded. They could have old ammunition. Like, there's definitely 1,000 things that can add variables to this. And I think, to me, like, that's the one piece that isn't explained, that doesn't, and people are trying to explain that, and we hear these other things. So I don't know, man. I think we continue to have a lot of questions for sure. Why don't we do this real quick? If you guys, unless you guys have an objection, I'll go through a couple of the super chats, and then we'll pause, and then we'll talk about anything else that you guys want to talk about. And then I do want to kind of talk about what my plans are for the UVU trip, and then if anybody has suggestions of other data and things like that, that will I'll get that information from. You guys good with that?
sounds good.
Yep. Let's see here. David says, did you take the drop in elevation from foot of the building to the level speaking area? It isn't insignificant. Yeah. So that was one of the things that actually surprised me. I was expecting about a 30 or 40 foot difference based on the fact that was a 4-story building, right? And it was more like 70. So there is, number one, the elevation of that terrain clearly goes up. And as you look at it, you can actually tell. Once I was like, oh, that's weird. But the terrain actually goes up. It's not just just the buildings and architecture. The terrain actually goes up, and then it's an additional 3 or 4. I was actually surprised to find that it was like a 70 or 80. I don't remember what it is now, but it was more of a elevation difference than I thought. But that elevation difference could be incorrect. Hey, it's Lazy. I have a video for you. Where do I send it? You can send that to DLPodcast at ParamountTactical.com. DLPodcast at ParamountTactical.com. Also, I would definitely recommend sending it to Marcus. And then Chris, do you have a email that you'd like to give out where people can send you stuff?
I believe I had one in the comments. If I don't, I can get it to you and we can put it out.
What's your email, Marcus? I'm not hearing you, Marcus.
Send it to me on X or Instagram.
Okay, send it to.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. You can just send it on X for me as well.
DM Chris and Marcus the footage as well, so you can just get more eyes on it. Their contact information, their socials, guys, are down in the description below. And while we're saying that, so is ours. Go follow us on X, and also like and subscribe. All those stuff. 17 HMR, 2,500 feet per second. It's plausible. Yeah, my problem is we don't like the problem I have with these smaller caliber rounds is we don't see what looks like a hit from a smaller caliber round. I mean, I've seen dudes hit with smaller caliber rounds, and it doesn't look anything like that. Like, he was hit with a larger round. Yeah. Gary, what tea are you drinking? Marcus, is that coffee in your cup? I am drinking green tea.
Coffee.
Decaffeinated green tea. I usually have some mint tea in there with my decaffeinated green tea, but I'm out of mint, and my wife will pay dearly for that. Just joking. Gents, do you think autopsy will be released at trial or before? Enjoy your format with 3 experts. Cheer from San Diego. I don't think it will be released. It definitely will not be released before trial. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I agree. I don't think we'll see it before trial.
Definitely not.
Autopsy, the autopsy, along with a lot of the other things that people are wanting, right? Everybody wants proof. Basically, a lot of people want the FBI to prove to the public that Tyler did it. That's what you're asking for. And then you're also asking the FBI to prove, like, for instance, there's a lot of people, and hopefully that changes a little bit after my video today. A lot of people think that the security team is guilty of something. The public wants, I don't know, the FBI or somebody to prove to the public that they're not guilty. The FBI is not in the business of proving people are not guilty, because generally in America, you are innocent until proven guilty. And I think that's a real problem that we're having in this, is there's a lot of people jumping to super bad conclusions, and you are accusing people with zero proof that they are murdering Charlie Kirk. And I do not think at all that the security team, there's no indication to me the security team had anything to do with it. And I think we as Americans need to be a little bit more careful about violating that fundamental. Marcus, take this one. I don't know what it says. Oh,
we back to invisible body armor when multiple sources said no armor. Great. Well, look, Bob, the thing is that it's, the sources are the only thing that is for sure is that sources have been wrong. And so, like, if we just visually look at it, you cannot discount that it looks extremely bizarre, the way the movements of the shirt and what happens at the moment of impact. And so to discount it is silly. Like, is it hard to believe? For me, like, personally, I don't think there's body armor, but I am certainly not going to sit here and say there's no chance. Like, especially, I respect Gary. I respect his expertise. He does this for a living, 24/7, sells body armor, shoots with body armor. He knows everything about it. He knows. I trust that what he sees is he's not just speaking out of his ass. And so for you guys on the internet to sit there and just say, you can think whatever you want. I'm not going to think that. I'm going to consider every possibility, and the fact that body armor can be so thin that and it can be in smaller panels that Charlie, being a big guy, could absolutely fit in between his chest where you could still see his nipples. So I don't want to hear that. And so it could happen. And as long as there's a possibility, we have to consider it. That's where I'm at.
Marcus, I had the cursor over that, and I didn't read it before I clicked on it. And when you have the cursor over it, it blocks it out. I wouldn't have set you up for that. Yeah,
gotcha.
Sorry, I threw you under the bus. I don't mean for you to defend my thing. Pretty much with everything that Marcus said, I would say that we actually have, in my opinion, we have more evidence for body armor than we do against. We have multiple statements about body armor, and everything else that Marcus said. So, what's funny to me is we have a picture of a 30-06. We have a charging document. This is 30-06, and they have all of that tangible proof, but there's no way it was a 30-06. But if you suggest body armor, that's wrongo bongo, and you're crazy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You gotta be a little consistent there.
Well, people are so like. Sorry to cut you off, Gary, but the point you're making, I just have to like. I it's starting to make me angry. Like how silly the public is with. Oh, if you suggest a second shooter, like, oh yeah, of course, obviously a second shooter, they think we're stupid. But then you suggest body armor, and they're like, "You freaking idiot!" It's like, oh my god, guys! Oh my god, guys!
There's some cognitive dissonance there for sure. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like definitely was shot from the side, or was definitely shot with a drone, or definitely shot with a camera. There was definitely I keep hearing
explosive mic.
This explosive mic, but also that one that seems to be gaining steam, or at least in my comments, is it was a holograph. It was all faked, all of that stuff. Because here's the thing, and people will say, well, Erica said. Well, okay, stop right there. I guarantee you, if you were able to ask Erica right now, based on the statements we've heard directly, indirectly, and everything else, and what TPUSA is putting out, I'm 98% sure that Erica thinks and would give a statement that she believes Tyler Robinson is the shooter. But you guys would outright reject that right off the bat. But then you will pick and choose, cherry picking. Hey, she said there was no body armor, so that's true. There are other interviews where she said that she was wearing body armor. There are other interviews that Charlie Kirk has said that he was wearing body armor. There has been other statements. So,
Yep.
As I've said in the past, there are definitely photos in there that it doesn't look like he's wearing body armor. But at the time of shooting, both his back, and I'm not talking about when he was shot. Definitely when he was shot, it looks like there's a ballistic panel back there. I mean, it's hard to reject that idea. But even before he shot, there's like contouring on his back, because you can see one picture where it clearly shows his scapula as he's sitting up. But he has his shoulders rolled forward, and it seems like you'd be able to see some of that skeletal anatomy right before he shot, and you can't. And he's a pretty skinny guy, and I find that odd.
And just to hammer this horse, and like I just have to be, I want to be super clear about where I stand with the body armor thing while I'm on this show, right? Because obviously, Gary, you believe that, I know you're not 100% on anything, but you're leaning that way. I'm leaning the opposite way. I don't think there's body armor. Yeah. But I will much rather have a conversation, and happy to have a conversation about speculating about that, because it's so much more plausible and logical than those other things, the drone bird and the aliens and the trapdoors and the explosives. It's like, to me, that's a waste of time relative to talking about the possibility of body armor. If you guys are so quick to believe Candace, and I'm guaranteed this person who asked the question is the same person who's hanging on every word Candace is saying.
Well, I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if that's fair. But
if that's, if I'm wrong, okay, sorry, Bob.
Sure.
But the point I'm making is, it feels like you're talking about is those people who are so quick to jump on what Candace is talking about, and what the latest thing she said is that there is like 2 days before, Charlie is like worried about his life, and does a person who's worried about his life, who's a public figure, not wear body armor?
That's
the first thing I would call is, okay, I need body armor, super thin. And so I'm not even on the body armor train, but I can at least, I can consider that very, very likely as a possibility, because it makes sense. You can rationalize it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think reasonable people would think it's plausible, especially if you know anything about, like, the problem is people think of body armor and they think of like 2005 and it's a 3-inch thick ceramic plate. That's not what is used today, folks. We have much better body armor. But the other part of this is, and man, that was such a good point that you made. Candace is basically saying Charlie stated that he thought that Israel, I guess, that's the implication here, they were going to kill him. Why the F would he not be wearing body armor? If that's true, and he really felt that way, you'd think he'd be wearing body armor. Candace has also stated that he wasn't wearing body armor because the company sponsoring him for body armor pulled their support or something along those lines. Okay, if I was sponsoring someone with body armor, two things don't make sense to me about that. Number one, it's under your shirt. You're not advertising it. Like, why would I sponsor you? Like, what does that do for the company? Or maybe they just liked Charlie so much that they gave him body armor. But then if they liked him so much they gave him body armor, they're like, we don't like you anymore. We need you to turn in your sweaty ass body armor. Like, I can understand, like, hey, we're not going to give you more body armor in the future. That's fine. We're just breaking this, business tie. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. That is the weird thing to me. There's a bunch of contradictory, weird statements around the body armor that, quite frankly, I'm a little suspicious of. So, yeah. Oh, and the last point I wanted to make, can we all three agree that if there was body armor involved, the ballistics would make a lot more sense?
Oh my God. I'm praying you're right, because it would like tie everything together. It would explain why there was no exit wound, because it probably would have, thin body armor probably wouldn't have stopped the 30-06, but the back panel could have. And just containing that energy, it would make sense. So yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry, Chris, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I agree with you. And it would make more sense that deflection would have caused earlier fragmentation, and then that explains fragments up, down, everything else.
Well, I was just looking at some ballistic video of it was a ballistic gel shoot of frangible ammunition, 308 to be specific, and it was I don't know. I had the video pulled up. I should have left it up and played it for you guys. But what I thought was interesting about that, like basically within 2 inches of 10% ballistic gel, like that round was already fragmenting. I mean, completely, right? So I think we can agree that if within 2 inches of ballistic gel, the round would fragment, even if it was level 3A, the thinnest body armor that you can get, which is only going to stop, that's going to have more ballistic resistance than 2 inches of ballistic gel. So if that was the case and it was a frangible round, like it would frange a lot if it hit something like even level 3A, a lighter body armor. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I bet he regrets making that comment.
Maybe he got a lot of attention.
William Butcher, I almost said Bill. Maybe he doesn't like Bill. You would see him through a thermal. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what anybody know what that acronym is. TICAD, thinks in kind advance, dude. I don't know.
I don't know.
Come on, aren't you a millennial, Marcus? You should know that.
Yeah, you're out millennialing me. Millennialing me. I don't even know how to.
Is that a word?
It's not a word.
Millennial, whatever the present participle of millennial is.
Yeah, exactly.
Check my email. I showed you screenshots of a figure on the roof at Charlie's 4 o'clock, a minute before the shot. A shot from this position aligns with the surgeon's deposition of damage, starting at C2 down to T2. Thermal sniper. I probably I swear to God, if you sent me a picture of that freaking bush, I'm gonna reach through this camera and digitally choke you. Most of the pictures that people have been pointing to are the bush up on the landing up there outside the building. I will look at your photo and I will take into consideration. But so help me God, if it's a bush, thermal sniper.
Gary, he might be talking about the roof just above the bush because I have seen people putting that out. But I talked about this, I don't know if it was our last podcast or the one before that. And the reason that it looks like someone's up there and then they disappear is because of the position of the pictures. The angle changes. And
Was
the
that
reason
the air vent?
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
I remember that conversation. Yeah.
Yep.
That was from the Ian Carroll video, wasn't it? Or I think Ian Carroll proved that to be correct. One of them posted a video and actually talked about that specifically. So that may be that one. But yeah. All right, thermal sniper. You better have your act together. I better see a freaking dude with a sniper ghillie suit on and M40A1 peeking out from underneath it. Take this one, Chris.
Would be nice if you, Zeb, Ian Carroll, C. Martinson, Nate, and especially George Webb meet here. George can show you the DQ that was shut down. Even if Candace could go with y'all's differences, y'all are a team. Truth for Kirk.
A couple of things. Number one, I'd be happy to go out there with just about anybody. I will definitely reach out to Zeb. I will happily reach out to Ian Carroll. Chris Martins and I have talked several times on the phone last few days. I always have a lot of respect for Chris. I like him. And yeah, I think he's a reasonable guy. And I agree, especially if all of us kind of combine our resources, our knowledge. And I think that's the point of this whole thing as far as I'm concerned.
So real quick on that DQ thing that George Webb was talking about. And I appreciate that he went to both DQs. The one that Candace was talking about was the one that is not shut down. The DQ that George Webb went to that is shut down, I looked into that. And that building was up for lease. So there was a new person leasing that building. That's why they were tearing everything down and turning it over. It wasn't some mysterious like, oh, this was the DQ, so now they're just getting rid of all the evidence. That's just not the case.
So the DQ that Candace is referencing was not the DQ that Tyler was videoed in.
No, the DQ that Candace is referencing is the one that is still open that George Webb talks about, and
Gotcha.
that she is saying Tyler was at.
Gotcha.
The other one that George is talking about is one that is shutting down, and people, and what George was alluding to is we don't know exactly which DQ he was at. And so it's suspicious that the other one is shutting down and removing everything.
Got it. That's a great clarification. Marcus, I'm going to take this for you. I'm going to give you this one just because I don't want to do it.
JFK, multiple shooters. The thing is, I don't know enough about the JFK thing to speak on this. It's so far, dated, and I'm disconnected from it. Like this, what's happening now with Charlie, I'm invested in this because it's happening right now, and I feel like I have a chance to understand, but I don't feel like I even have a chance to unpack everything there. So actually, I know Gary knows a lot more about it than I do. So Gary, you got, if you want to take that one, go for it. But I don't know enough about it.
I'll jump on that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I love it.
Well, we've talked about this offline, and JFK was one of the first assassinations that I did some research into after I gained experience, military experience, all that sort of stuff. And I found the JFK movie very interesting. So then I started diving into it, and based off of eyewitness testimony and other things and things that we now know with the release of some of the files, multiple shooters. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, by the way. I do think that was a genuine conspiracy. The problem that I have in the comparisons is I think we can clearly see multiple trajectories at JFK. And the difference between now and then is that because the government, number one, there wasn't as much information, right? And the government had a much more control over the narrative than they do now, for sure. The other thing that I have a problem with is kind of what Marcus was touching on earlier, with how he kind of wants to isolate himself from one event to the next and all those other things. I think that makes great sense. Just because we think and we believe that JFK conspiracy happened, it doesn't mean that there was a grand conspiracy or multiple shooters. I can't rule out a grander conspiracy. Matter of fact, I think there was a conspiracy. I think there's almost no chance that Tyler, at a minimum, didn't tell other people about this.
Agreed.
Am I at a point where I believe that like FBI was involved, or do I think that Israel was involved? That is another discussion I want to have with everybody tonight. Don't let me forget that. I want to talk about Israel, and I want to talk about Israel a little bit. And some of the problems that I just personally have with a lot of the language that the right is using, that quite frankly, I'm not very, quite frankly, I find some of it disgusting. I'll just put it that way. But I just because we know one thing to be fact doesn't mean that we need to apply that to the next. What I can tell you for sure is I don't think, I can't say for sure. Right now, I don't think there's multiple shooters. What I do know for sure is that we have enough data to confirm through the supersonic crack that we have a supersonic event that takes place over that crowd in the direction to Charlie, in the direction from Tyler Robinson's gun. So we have a supersonic event. Like, you can't fake that. Now, I don't know why in today's day and age, number one, if we had this super secret squirrel, like there's so many areas out there, just looking at the terrain and looking at Google Earth, that you could tell the patsy, Tyler Robinson, hey, you know what? You're going to go to this location. Because what that's going to do is I'm going to be at this back location. All right. And then that's going to line up those trajectories, and we can get away with this scot-free. Like, there's so many ways to align those trajectories so easily that not to do that would be a huge overstep, because somebody's going to know that instead of an entry room from the front, we also have an entry room from the back of the head. Like that's just physical evidence that you can't fake, right? So that's the problem that I have with that. So right now we know that we have a supersonic event. So what came out of that gun? And then, of course, the next answer to that would be, well, it's not actually Tyler, that's somebody else. And I can't confirm or deny that either. I think the video looks like Tyler. It could be a body double. That's not a thing. Like that to me is the most convincing or compelling possibility out of all these. Like, that actually wasn't Tyler Robinson. But then you still are left with the problem that we have a gun in the woods that has his DNA on it, if we're being told the truth, and the defense is going to get access to this information, and then they are going to be able to link that bullet to that gun, because I bet they already have, which is why we have the charging documents referencing it. So, did I say anything off base there, you guys?
Oh,
No.
I mean, if for the sake of argument, I think that it's completely implausible that it wasn't Tyler. So that's a different. I differ from you in that I think it's basically it's as implausible as the exploding lab and the drone bird and the trapdoor, and I think it's in my mind it's that implausible, and I can explain why. But,
No, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear that, because I don't know of it personally, of any evidence. I mean, I genuinely agree with you. I just don't know about the evidence that supports that, I guess.
That's the thing, right? Is there's sometimes by deduction you can find out what something is by figuring out what it is not. And if you go out through history, right, if you extrapolate from that, okay, it's not Tyler, then who's sitting in jail alive? Name me one patsy. And talk about JFK, right? That patsy, he died pretty quickly, right? Am I wrong?
Correct.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So patsies, usually their purpose is fulfilled once everything points to them and then they're gone. That's because they have to shut up, because if he's a patsy, then he can't be around to talk, because his purpose is to be gone, right? So that's the first thing is evidence. My evidence is throughout history, patsies always don't stick around to talk. You know, if they can get Epstein, like a super rich, powerful guy, they're gonna shut up. You know, this guy in the jail cell, and I don't want to say his name anymore. But that I have a serious problem with that. Number one. Number two,
Can I interrupt you just real quick, just on that?
Of
that
course,
point?
of course.
What if, and we've heard reports. I don't know if it's true. Well, I mean, if he's saying I didn't do it, or he was at the event but he didn't actually do it. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't believe this to be true, by the way. I'm just playing devil's advocate for the more conspiratorial minded amongst us, right? So if he's saying he didn't do it, and that's the first question. And number two, yeah, maybe he was told to be there. Because here's the thing. Here's what I would say. If we have DNA on the gun, they link it to him, whatever else. All right. And let's just say, for hypothetical sakes, like he was told to be there. He's part of some group. He's told to be there, but he was just there and somebody else did the shooting. And now his story is, no, I was just told to be there. I didn't actually do the shooting. And maybe they'll find the physical evidence, but we're not going to know that to be able to prove that right or wrong. So that's what I would say to that.
In today's day and age, with phones, cameras everywhere, publicly available information, eyewitnesses, that would be so easy to prove or disprove whether he was there or not.
Fair enough.
And especially in today's age, with cameras at every hallway in UVU, rooftop cameras that we haven't seen yet, the overwhelming evidence. If it comes out that it wasn't him, like it will be. Well, that's my thinking, right? Is it would be so easy to prove or disprove this.
It definitely makes it much more complicated. And again, what they would say, and they're already saying, is that, hey, this is a lookalike or somebody similar to that. And then my only other follow-up, and you don't have to answer that, it's kind of rhetorical. My only other follow-up to that would be, would any of your analysis change if he doesn't make it to trial?
You mean if he unalives in his jail, in the jail? 100%. Then now, okay, boom. Now there's
Now it's Marcus out of the conspiracy wagon.
100%. That is what I'm like. Come on, guys. Like, patsies don't stick around to talk. That's like rule. You know. And later, if we want to talk about Israel and stuff like that, I know you wrote that down. I think it ties into that. Is like, come on, guys. Like, powerful people don't get to their position by acting so carelessly. For one, and rule number 28 of 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which I think is a fantastic book, is it talks about keep your hands clean. Like one of the, very, very, very important rule of powerful people is don't be directly tied to anything messy and dirty. Always stay clean. And these powerful nation states with billions of dollars and access to the best hitmen in the world, you can't convince me they would act like this. Like, that you just, I mean, I'm open to it, but nothing about the situation looks like a professional
Marcus,
hit at all.
you just don't realize they're playing 4D chess, bro. They were sloppy on purpose. That's the thing that you don't get.
I like that one. That one makes me laugh. I love it.
Chris, you got
So
anything to
bad
add to
it's
that?
good, like Mr. Bean.
Chris, you got anything to add to that?
No, I think Marcus hit all that. I mean, I agree with you, Gary, that we don't have good enough video or images to 100% undeniably say that it's Tyler. But I also agree with Marcus that just by simple deduction and understanding what we don't know versus what we do know, you can deduce that he's the most plausible explanation.
Yeah, and I think everybody's basing what they're saying on this stuff on the evidence that we've seen, which is probably 1/110th or 1/100th or 1/1000th of the actual evidence available. I bet there's some much clearer images. They probably found the clothes. They probably found, like, that's the problem here is folks, they're not going to release. They don't need to convince Gary, you, Chris, or Marcus that he's the shooter. And that's not their job, and they're not going to do that. They have to convince a jury. And we got to wait to see if that's what happens, to see what kind of defense his defense attorneys come up with. So, all right.
Well, and to that point, if they didn't have enough information that they felt confident, because remember, the attorney's going to look at that and go, no, we don't have enough to charge him, or yes, we have enough to charge him, and yes, we have enough that we think that we can get the conviction. They wouldn't go through with the case if they didn't have enough evidence to do that. Because then that takes their FBI credibility even further down the tank.
I agree. Yep. No, I agree. Bluebird, catching up, but if you travel through Kentucky, you're welcome to use my farm for any long distance range testing. I literally had to retype this 50 times for YouTube, allow me to send censorship. Thank you, Bluebird. That's very nice of you. I appreciate you following on X and all that good stuff too. I see you on there. Yeah, that brings up a good point. I know a lot of people say, I've seen it in the comments, Gary, you're deleting my comments. Folks, if they are critical comments, I do not delete them. The only comments that I ever delete, and by the way, somebody also said, you're not gonna see this comment. And I replied to it. I just happened to see it. And I was like, it's your lucky day. He's like, oh, you must be using some sort of AI to sift through comments. Folks, I can't see all the comments. I don't have AI. I don't even have like an assistant that goes through my comments with that. We got a couple of moderators on here. The only ones that I'm going to delete, if they're just ad hominems and just, just silly and like you're just being rude, right? Whether it's to me or to other people in the comments. With that being said, you need to realize that YouTube deletes even my comments sometimes. And I don't even it'll be completely benign. It doesn't even say, but you start talking about rifles or murder or killing or whatever else in YouTube, they're going to delete that stuff. So just be aware. And that's just algorithmically, right? Automatically. Bill Williams says, I do not believe there was a second shooter that said a thermal would eliminate the line of sight through the tent problem. I don't think there is we got plenty of good pictures and that there is good line of sight. So no matter what the angle is, we know for a fact that there is a good line of sight. As a matter of fact, I'll pull up that video, that picture for you.
Hey, Gary, I think this was the guy that did a super chat earlier when he had the thermal comment and you were confused by it. You wasn't sure what he's saying.
Yeah.
So I think what he's responding to is what I said about the higher degree and angle. It would have been so high that you probably couldn't have seen Charlie. And so he's saying If it was a thermal, you could have seen Charlie. And
folks, that's William, just to clarify this, that is not how thermals work. If there's a space differential, so if we have a tarp, for instance, and then a space differential, number one, that tarp's probably pretty close to, it's getting heated up by the sun. But even if it was 30 degrees out, and you got the space differential between, the tarp of the tent and Charlie, you're not going to see through that. As a matter of fact, that's how the Afghanis were beating our thermals overseas. They would actually be lying in a hole, and then they would just have a tarp over the top. Like, we couldn't see. There wasn't enough thermal differential for that. So that's not correct. But I will, Yeah, I don't know if like we're talking about a different. Is he talking? You think he's talking about a different line of sight completely? Is that what you're saying, Chris?
I think so. I think he's not talking about the line of sight image that we have of a clean shot, but I could be wrong.
Gotcha. Maybe we'll pull that up. Marcus, take that one.
The M on his shirt looked like it started bleeding just before his neck, and I don't know if the footage is edited. It just looks like a chest shot. I have to take a look at it, but we have many. The good thing is we have lots of footage, so if what you're saying is true, we should see it on multiple angles. The M on his shirt looked like.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. It does.
I
it does.
didn't see that.
So
you saw that?
It does. Yeah. So it does look like. Well, here's what I'll say. There's blood that appears right about here before it looks like his wound actually starts gushing. I think what that is like a first spurt that lands on his chest, and then it kind of opens up.
That makes sense.
It does look like that, Garza. So I know what you're talking about. I mean, we could sit here and discuss it, and I could say yes, I agree with you. It looks like it comes right from that, and like we wouldn't finalize anything, right? Just because we don't know. Chris, take this one.
Apparently, a letter was sent to Charlie Kirk's family on the 2nd September about, sorry for the loss of your son. I think it was sent by Erica. I have not seen that, Raymond. I'm not sure.
Shouldn't fragment from armor make multiple wounds? No, because again, if we have rounds that deflect, even if it fragments, it takes distance to open up, right? If I shot, and this is one of the misconceptions about shotgun. Everybody says, oh, you need to have a shotgun for home defense because you basically just have to point it. Folks, in the average engagement, especially within a structure, you're talking 3 to 5 yards. At 5 yards, a shotgun, even with birdshot with zero choke, and I've tested this. I got a video out on YouTube about it. It's like that big, right? So it's like an inch and a half to not even 2 inches. And the same thing, because again, it needs space to open up. And the same thing. So if we have a bullet that fragments here, like all the fragments go from, a little tiny bullet and this one nice little tight projectile. And then over distance, it starts to spread apart. And the further it gets away from where it fragments, the further that those pieces are going to diverge, right? So no, we wouldn't see. I would actually expect to see exactly what we saw, like a whether it was a fragment or whether it was a deflection, or even if it completely shattered that bullet right there, we would see exactly what we'd see, a fairly small hole. Anybody disagree with anything I said there?
No.
Marcus.
Boom. Also, the videos from behind that almost look as if body armor is stopping the bullet from exiting. Yes. Thanks for all your hard work and great content. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. Is there's to Gary's point, it does look like body armor is basically stretching out from the hit and kind of bulging out really in that bizarre shape that doesn't look like bone or skin or and if it was skin, it would probably have ruptured and you'd see blood, which you don't. So to his point, yes. And is there points against that? Could it be just the cavitation, that expansion? Could the skin just stretched out? Because we're seeing a very, very high speed event, and we're just seeing a frame of it from a camera that's just taking a picture 30 times every second, and so that there's plenty of room for there to be like manipulations and distortions that, for me, could be explained by other things other than body armor. But to Gary's point, and to your point, whoever commented that, it does look like potentially body armor, some really thin body armor is containing that.
Yeah, and the other problem that I have, or not really a problem, but the other observation I have with that is it looks like there's structure to that panel back there. That's the thing. It doesn't look like it's just like some nebulous airflow that's going out in all directions. It literally looks like there's structure to that whole event, which makes me think that there's a back panel.
Yes, but I guess I didn't explain it very well, but what I'm trying to say is, like, because the camera's taking a picture of something that's moving really fast,
Yeah.
And it's taking a quick picture, and the shirt is just wrinkling, and it's taking a snapshot. We're not seeing, a super high speed, from a super high speed camera where we would see it kind of flow and ebb throughout the entire process of from the impact. I'm not doing a good job explaining it.
I think
but you see, my point is basically the camera's just taking a snapshot of a t-shirt that's moving really fast. And so it's possible that structure is we're just capturing a moment in time that shirt just happened to wrinkle. And that's what I think happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're explaining it perfectly. I just, throughout that event, it looks like the way everything moves, it looks like they're structured to me. That I don't think can be explained by just random expansion one way or the other. But again, we don't know one way or the other. That's what
I see your point.
Down to. Yeah. Hi, hope all is well. And wound packing video was amazing, sir. People now understand that there would be pints of blood, that there would not be pints of bloods all over the place. I think you meant to say not. Chris?
JFK was shot by Elvis. Okay, sure. Saran B. Saran was seen in Newfoundland on the day when Bobby was shot. Okay, sure. Charlie Kirk was wearing body armor? Question mark. No way. You're out of your mind.
Cool.
I think that one is for you, Gary.
It is.
Yeah.
Again, I threw you under the bus. Has Eric Kirk even seen the autopsy report? Parents of Idaho 4 viewed their own children's report for the first time with the public after BK sentenced. I question legitimacy, but seems to have legs. I would assume that she has seen the autopsy report. I don't know. Again, I know that autopsy report was done by the FBI. Maybe they're holding that for evidence. I don't know. That's a lawyer question. And Chris is only a freaking Navy SEAL and a doctor, not a lawyer, because he's been slacking. Marcus.
Okay. Could more footage beyond the tunnel and parking garage pictures being released taint a jury enough to where the defense can use it in their favor? Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing is they're keeping the evidence that they only release what's necessary at the time to get to the public to aid them in their search to find him. And the more footage they release, they know they're compromising the potential of swaying a jury one way or the other, because it's just more opportunity to see a different looking silhouette, a different looking character in a pixelated video that people could perceive as Tyler or not. And so, yes, I think we will see that footage eventually, whether it's a year from now or next month, I don't know. But to answer your question, I think yes.
Well, this one's for you too. So
I sent the message on X, Marcus. It would let me send the video, but it's on my X. I'm looking at it right now, and you said to go to your profile. I'm on your profile, and I just don't see it. So you got to make it really obvious for me, guys.
Tag Marcus in it. Retweet it and tag Marcus.
Yeah, I don't see it.
John the Wise Tushy. Some of you guys in your handles are awesome. Number one, thank you very much. Here's a meal to Cracker Barrel. I'm not going Cracker Barrel until they turn the logo back or whatever. I don't know. I'm just joking. I didn't really care about that controversy. Any chance of visit with the Robinson family and or friends?
Ooh.
I doubt. I haven't even thought about it because I doubt it's possible. I would also say.
I would say it's highly improbable that they would allow that.
Yeah, I would also say that the FBI and police have probably told them to be quiet, and they're probably under a gag order. So probably not. It's a good thought. Herder of Goats, thank you very much. Eric Dieter, he's always good for a good one. Chris, take that one.
That's why I'm saying y'all should grab George Webb. He's solo, needs help / sanity check. He was one of the first citizen journalists on the ground and has context. Kooky dude, but a member of Team Truth. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I think George is trying to get to the bottom of it, But like we showed in the video where we had George on, it's just where his mind is and how he's thinking about it is just different than ours. But I think he's trying to get to the truth.
Yeah, no, I agree. I genuinely, and unless he's just really good at, I got a pretty good people radar. I'd like to think, but probably all of us do. There's probably some sort of Dunning-Kruger effect going on. But I think that George is a genuine guy. I really do, and I think his heart's in the right place. I agree with him on a lot of things. I agree with how he makes certain statements that are clearly conjecture, but he kind of points them off as fact. But I'm sure we all do that at some point. So there's that. Omar AI Omar. This guy's not even real, folks. I don't even know where you get this. Is probably digital currency. Got my order. My AI calculations equal. Gary is right. Thanks, Omar. We appreciate it, buddy. Take that one, Marcus.
Semper Fi, Jarhead, God, Corpse, Country. All right, you get me hyped up, man. Hoorah!
That's right.
Devil Dog with Jesus, man. You've got the full package, man.
That's right. Best wishes for a safe, productive trip to the UVU. I'm really looking forward to your findings. Thank you for all you do. You are welcome. Well, you got a couple. I'll give you the exact date. Marcus or Chris, you guys are welcome to join me if you're available to get out there next week.
Nice.
Love to have you guys out there. We can all bunk in the same bed.
Back in the field, man. We do what you gotta do.
It'll be like planes, trains, and automobiles. Those aren't pillows.
All right. You talked me into it.
Marcus, you haven't seen planes, trains, and automobiles, have you?
No.
No. Oh my God. You got to go watch that right now. Black Warrior Spirit. 2 top Vietnam vet Army snipers were asked to do a domestic operation. One sniper refused, and the other disappeared. MLK, JFK were assassinated soon after. Look, I think I don't know if that's true or not. I think there's a lot of myth and lore, and I also don't necessarily, just completely throw that out offhand. I mean, it's very possible. I think we did a lot of crazy shit back then, and we're doing even more crazy shit now. Yeah, I won't dismiss that. Chris?
Separate the actors and actions. Tyler only needed to drop off a pew-pew by a chicken coop.
But why?
Yeah.
Por qué? Like, if I came to you guys like, look, guys, we don't like Charlie Kirk. I need you to do something for me. Don't worry about it. Not going to get involved. I just need you to drop this rifle off at this location. Like, why?
Yeah, it's just adding complexity for no reason.
Yeah. Come on, guys. It was obviously a trap drone carrying a mic with an exploding door. Duh. I did want to. I don't know if you guys saw it. I posted on my X, I believe. So the trap door. All right. There are now photos that have emerged. The trap door was completely in front of the table. There's literally no way, and it was in the view of the public that were on the front row. So there's literally no way that trap door, it wasn't under the table. It was in front of the table, forward of the table. Like from these new pictures, you can see the trap door, or it's a utility door, like a little utility area. So there couldn't have been a midget sniper in there. And nothing about the physics we see suggests that to begin with, in my opinion. Movie plot, the shooter comes to mind. I'm gonna rush through these real quick. If anybody's connected to all these people who pay, i.e. feds, blah blah blah, hook me up. That's what I would say. People keep calling me a fed. I would love if I could get that freaking benefit package, because right now, number one, I have health coverage through the VA, but as a business owner and self-employed, insurance is crazy expensive for us. Roof runner only needed to run across the roof, hop off towards the pew-pew. It was located, doesn't even need to know it's there. All right.
Well, it goes back to what you said already before. It's like, okay, so first he had to plant the gun. Okay, so that was his job. The next person had to just run off a roof, and then it's like, why?
today, yeah, I agree with it. Today you said, security guy to CK's right, blue shirt, black bag with stripe across. Can you dispel a rumor around that he's in any way AW Israel? Look, I'm going to say some things right now that probably are not going to be. This is a great segue into this. I want to bring this up. Like,
oh yeah, you did mention. Don't forget to talk about that.
Like, are we just ready to? Are like, is the right just ready to go full blown anti-Semite? I mean, like, to me, that's just like, look, I absolutely agree with. I don't think that the United States has the money to be sending the money that we do to Israel. I think whether it's Israel or any other country, if you can't get by on your own, then you're not a real country. If you're required to be supported by the U.S. nonstop, or you don't exist, I have a problem with that. Conversely, what I will say is that I do think that Israel is a good ally. There is no doubt, like, a lot of things can be true at the same time. Israel spies on us. We spy on Israel. We do some weird things back and forth, but we do that with all the look, folks. We're spying on Britain. We're spying on our allies. They're spying on us. There's all this little back and forth that we all know is going on. It's just like a gentleman's game with some of that stuff, right? So, like, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer some of this stuff because I don't have a problem with Jewish people. I have a problem with some of the things that Israel's done. I was very supportive of Israel. I think they've taken the war with Palestine further than I think we should have. They should have, right? So I'm definitely critical of Israel as a country. But the problem that I have is the language people are conflating with the Jews this, the Jews that. Like, dude, first, the other problem that I have with any of this stuff too is, like, I think Israel isn't as powerful as everybody thinks they are. And there is absolutely almost no chance that Israel's doing as much covert action as people think they are without us knowing it. And I also believe that the CIA uses, and other intelligence agencies uses, Mossad and Israel as cover for some things. I'm quite frankly disgusted by some of the language on the right when it's just full-blown anti-Semitic. And that's something that we as Americans should be completely against. If you want to criticize Israel, that's a government. That's a state in the Middle East. If you want to start just throwing around the word Jews, that's anti-Semitic. It's effing wrong. I don't care who you are. Like, that's not who we are as a people, and I find it disgusting. Like, the Jewish people around this country, and you can come up with all these conspiracies. They own this, they own this. It's the same shit that was happening in Germany. It's the same language that was happening in Germany pre-World War II. I find it reprehensible. Like, they're not that powerful. There's like such a small group, like, to think that they're so powerful. And again, even if you want to make that case, fine, make that case. Do it in a way that doesn't make you sound like some disgusting person that's just bigoted and racist, because that's what it sounds like to me. And maybe I'm having a hard time delineating those things, but I don't like it. I mean, I don't think that the right should be engaged in it. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
I'll go after you, Chris, if you've got something.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with those points, and I do understand why people are getting upset, and I do understand the position of our government is no longer putting its citizens first. I agree with that. I think we
100%.
spend way too much money, way too many assets in other places when the people here need those assets.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think people need to grow up, like, with more diversity in their life. Like, as a military brat, I grew up. I'll tie this together. But I grew up on a military base with a Jewish friend, Filipino friend, black friend, Asian friend, and we all hang out all the time. And I never had one second demonize them for who they were, what they looked like, or what they believed. We were all just hanging out, having fun, and so. I think these people who have this kind of, this inclination to demonize an entire group of people just need to go out and hang out with normal people who who are in this location or believe this thing, and you'll see that most people are freaking normal. Most people have a good heart and have good intentions, and there's a few extremists in that group, in every single group. I don't care who you pick, who make the whole group look bad, or who are super powerful and make mistakes or do evil. And so just pick your group and you'll find them. And so I agree with Gary, and what he's saying there is that you cannot demonize a whole group of people just because a certain segment, a very, very, very small percent, either have a lot of power, and they have the ability to make certain moves or push a huge agenda that we all are affected by, or who are just plain evil. It's always the extremists, and so you have to have that ability to separate. And I think that just will make you a way more mature and frankly likable person.
And your arguments will be more compelling too, by the way. Again, it's absolutely, and here's the other weird thing about when you just throw out Jews. And I think, to be fair, some of these people are kind of using Jew in the place of Israel. I think some of that's there, but we need to delineate that. But the other part of this is I have a lot of Jewish friends. I know a lot of Jewish people. Most of them, I won't say most of them, a large segment of them are as diverse as anybody. Most of them are Democrat, some of them are liberal, some of them are extremely conservative, some of them are more critical of Israel and what they're doing in Palestine than most people. It's such a crazy thing to just label them across the board, and then just say the Jews. Okay, I agree that there's some things that we should probably reel in when it comes to AIPAC, but that's true with all these lobbyist groups, and it's not just Israel lobby. I don't think that Israel quite influences the United States the way that some people believe they do. They do. I understand it. There's lots of money being poured into it. Yeah, I don't know. I think we would be smart to clean up some language out there. And if you're just anti-Semitic, I'll just point out that you're wrong too. And that's freaking un-American. We'll leave it at that. Sirhan is still alive. Maybe family threatened. Maybe. We will eventually see the video of the shooter on the roof with a clear recoil reaction. 06 has a definite heavy recoil in my experience. I pretty much expect that and agree with that. Gary, I have to tell you, sent super chats with you before, but for some reason getting blocked from even sending those to you. So your demonetization issues, someone working against you, bro. See if this gets to you. Look, we have all kinds of issues on demonetization. My video, I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me pull up the video. It was my Kumbaya video, right? I was like, look, we got to quit seeing Americans. There was no footage, there was no language, there was no showing Charlie shot or anything like that. I said the real reason Charlie Kirk was killed. Basically, I make a case that, hey, we got to quit using language like racist and Nazis, and we got to start seeing each other as Americans again. That's all I said. And that hit 100,000 views and then got demonetized. I contested it. They reviewed it and they upheld the demonetization. The video I just posted today, also demonetized, even though I blurred out everything that I could possibly blur out. But I knew just using fake blood, which is crazy to me. About 80% of our videos are demonetized. So I don't know. Take that for what it is. Chris, take this one.
If I was Tyler, I would unflinchingly. All right. I would unflinchingly hold the CIA
Jugalos
told me to be here. I wasn't the real shooter. Rightoids would lap it up. Maximum chaos, mission accomplished from his point of view. Yeah, so I think this is saying, again, make it look like something in order to cause chaos and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I agree that that's a possibility. I just, again, going back to Marcus's point, I don't know why in this day and age when there's so much other cleaner ways. But again, if chaos is the goal, then there you go.
I'll add to that real quick. One thing that reminds me of is so far, there's definitely a lack of information from the FBI that I think people are upset about, right? and maybe rightfully so. Maybe they could be more transparent than they are. I think they're building a case. They're building a death penalty case, and they're helping with that. And they're trying to. I think that's the real motivation behind that portion. What I can say is that I have not been able to find, and I look hard for it, I've not been able to find any key point that the FBI has flat out lied about anything. That being said, I have found numerous videos attempting to support some sort of crazy theory, and I just posted one on X the other day, the one where everybody was saying his hand went up, it was slowed down, it was completely manipulated to make it look like something it wasn't. So we are seeing very clear deception, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, come from, I don't even know where, but it's from the conspiracy supposed, oh, we're just trying to find the truth. No, you're effing lying. The picture, you guys saw, if you didn't see the video I posted today, you need to go watch it. And I break down what's going on behind the scenes of the security team. We've seen that picture floating around of the guy supposedly smiling. First of all, even when I see that picture, he's never smiling. And that same guy, as you watch his body language all throughout an actual video, that was a deceptive bullshit screen grab that somebody put out there. And then on top of that, you know, it's a leading statement or suggestive statement. Oh, look, he's smiling. His body language was anything but happy all throughout that. I think it's just bullshit. And to put that out there to deceive people, and it's been extremely effective, by the way. Like when you watch that video, like that guy is panic, like he's grimacing in that picture. That's 100%. But if you watch the video and you see his body language, like you take that picture just juxtaposed like the overall of what's actually happening, it's a clear deception. So I've seen lots and lots of lies come from, I don't know, people supposedly trying to call out the FBI or whatever else. And look, I know the FBI lies. I know our government lies. But there's deception happening for sure on this side. And I'm going to call it out. If I find deception from the FBI, I'm going to call it out. If I find deception over here, I'm going to call it out, because there's a bunch of freaking grifters out there. They're doing a damn good job. The more crazy the theory, the more views, clicks, likes, shares, and everything it gets. And it's just sensationalism. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I'm going on tangents. And
No, you're
good. You're good.
This is your show.
All right, I'm not talking the rest of the show. Get that one, Marcus.
Israel sent Epstein to unalive Charlie. Wow, I got to read this slow. Why would Israel want him dead? Makes no sense to me. Travis, brother, I mean, Israel sent Epstein, who is not alive, to unalive Charlie.
He's being facetious. He's joking.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I need some help sometimes, because sometimes I can't tell if people are being serious or not. Now, ever since I've dipped my foot into this pond, like some people are dead serious about this stuff, and I like, you know.
Yeah, no, he says at the end there, it makes no sense to me. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Why would Israel want him dead? I mean, did you read the conversations that supposedly Candace has of Charlie, afraid for his life? He's on podcast saying, I pissed off Israel. I pissed off a lot of powerful people there. He knows he did. He says it from his own mouth. So I would just encourage you, Travis, to go listen to hear from the horse's mouth. And he certainly pissed off people who have a lot of money. There's no question about that. But does causation mean correlation? No. So that's why we have to be impartial.
And well, I mean, like Israel, number one, there's clearly people within TPUSA that have access. So I was going to bring this up tonight too. If this is true, if those texts are true, and I believe they probably are, that doesn't mean that's not a smoking gun. Like, it'd be so dumb for Israel. I mean, do you think that Israel's power and influence has grown or dramatically decreased after this? And don't you think that they would know that there'd be all this inside banter and talk, but yet they're just going to go ahead and kill Charlie anyhow, when they would know that it's going to be linked to Israel directly or indirectly and have negative impact? I don't like, if you're going to say like the, 1% or whatever the population of Jews in Israel have all this influence and power, that means you're dealing with the brightest. And I do think, by the way, I think that like Israel's military and leaders are probably smarter and more hardcore than ours. I'll just tell you that, because they are still a smaller country and they kind of punch above their weight. But they're so brilliant that they run the world, but they wouldn't be able to logically think that one through. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's well said.
Chris?
I figured it out, guys. They have censored the name of my unit. So I better do it like this 160th in the house. FU YouTube. Love from East Tennessee.
Night Stalkers. Awesome, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you for your service, too. Marcus?
Fragment found in Charlie's heart, guys. That's what the doctor said. Again, like I said in the beginning, I'm very skeptical of the hearsay. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say now with what we've heard from injuries from C1 all the way up here down to heart explosion, like all this area was decimated by 130-06. Come on, guys. So, this is getting out of hand.
Well, and just a clarifying point, the doc did not come out and say that. That was Andrew that said the doc said that. So that's tertiary information.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I believe the round hit the C4, went down, and hydrostatic shock destroyed C3 and C2. Possibly. Tyler's defense can subpoena all TPUSA footage, including the drone Turks said they had up, and also the campus footage. I don't think they're going to need to subpoena all of it. The FBI has all that, so that's part of the prosecution, and they're going to get that in discovery. And again, Tyler's defense has already called for an extension to even attend the probable cause hearing because they said the evidence that they needed to go through was voluminous. I just like that word. Voluminous and hyperbole are some of my favorite words to say.
Makes you sound really smart.
I just like the way they roll off my tongue. Voluminous and hyperbole. Marcus Stagg. All right.
I answered him. I answered him on I got you. So check your X.
Chris.
Gary, earlier you said entire FBI would have to be involved. I believe you were referring to Patsy or side shot conspiracy theories. Can you explain why the whole FBI would have to be involved?
Maybe that would be a slight exaggeration. It would be a hyperbole. But we'd have to have a large look. There's several segments. Number one, they're going to be like medical doctors that are being hired or used by the FBI. I don't know. They may have their own medical examiners. Then you're going to have the ballistics. That's a whole nother section. And then you're going to have multiple investigators. And on top of that, now we have, this is a very high profile case. So there's going to be lots of different people that are going to have eyes on this, going to looking at it, going to be looking through the evidence, going to make sure it's, a tight case. So that's what I mean by that. There's going to be, I don't know. This is a great question for, oh God, I'm having a brain fart. We just had him on the other day.
Well, not only that, Gary, but also Utah, or at least some of the people from the Utah law enforcement would have to be involved as well, because the charging document came from, and I forget the guy's name, but it came from Utah law enforcement, not the FBI.
So the entire prosecuting attorney's office from Utah is going to have to be involved. They're going to see that. The defense is going to have multiple expert witnesses that are going to come through and be able to poke holes in this if it's, not legit. So that's, it would be a huge conspiracy. We're talking about at least, several hundred people ultimately, I think, that would have access to some of this information and would be able to call BS on it. Marcus, you got anything to add to that?
I completely agree. It's that having that many people in on a conspiracy, any operation, and not having someone leak or slip up or whistle blow is about as impossible as some of the other crazy theories, in my opinion.
I'll take this one too.
Okay, hindsight. Hey, I'm staying at my buddy's place tomorrow at UVU. Mind if I borrow your 30-06? You're there. I'm still an hour out. Can you leave it out back? Put it under the chicken coop. All right, he's just taking the piss.
Funny. You guys realize that like, where number one, Tyler didn't attend UVU. I think that's something that most people don't No, and that his house is like 2 hours away from UVU. So it wouldn't be just like, oh, he just happens to be there. That's a deliberate movement.
Okay, well, did you see the thing from Alex Jones, who said that he was definitely part of the CIA program at UVU and that he had a 4.0 GPA?
Whoa.
I never know what to take seriously from. I usually wait for another source because look, there's some brilliant shit that comes out of Alex Jones' mouth, but look, there's about a million other things that comes out of his mouth, and it is kind of like a blind squirrel. And look, no matter what you think about Alex Jones, and I generally like Alex Jones, and I think he's been right on a lot of things. What I will say is he is the master of sensationalism, the master. So he's gotten a lot of things right, some so weird that it defies explanation, but he's gotten a lot of things wrong, and a lot of minor things in between those things being wrong too that probably don't get as much attention. Chris, I'll let you take that one because I don't know what it means.
If you were kicked out of 109 bars, who's at fault? Well, if you're kicked out of 109 bars, you're at fault.
That's what a Fed would say. AI Omar says, in my opinion, Occam's razor, simplest explanation equals usually right. Yes, I agree. Marcus.
Thanks for doing what y'all doing. Majority of the public has already forgotten about this. Well, I don't know about that. I think it's going to take a long time for people to forget about this. I mean, well, I don't think anybody's going to forget about this. And I'll just take a quick moment as I want to publicly state that Charlie didn't deserve this, and this should be something that we don't forget about. And his legacy, I hope, grows, that he's honored, and I think this was a huge injustice. So evil took out Charlie, and I don't want people to forget about this. And maybe that's part of the reason why we're still talking about it. Is I'm still very, very invested in this and knowing the truth, because I want to know who do we have to blame for this. This is, I wish this didn't happen. I wish we still had Charlie. So I'll find a more elegant way to put that, and perhaps I'll make a video that I'll post. But I just want to say that I want to give praise to Charlie, and we're all talking about him because he was a great man who did a lot. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, and I think to a bigger point too of figuring out, who did this, and then that gives more context to why, if one of the conspiracies do come true, well, that's a big effing problem. We need to figure out what's going on there and how to address that issue, and what does that mean for the rest of us. But also at the same time, the fact of the matter that you can be assassinated in this day and age that easily
in this country
for talking about things that people disagree with. Like that's a big deal. So we shouldn't easily forget about it, and we shouldn't easily move on from it. Yes, I understand that we all have lives. We have our little bubble that we have to protect, but there's, part of that is what's happening around our bubble too.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. But yeah, to your point, Marcus, I think his whatever goals that whoever is responsible for killing Charlie, I think whatever they were expecting to happen, the opposite's taking place. I think people are stepping up. We're seeing more people get engaged on campuses. We're seeing more people. Church growth is going through the roof. I think there's a legitimate and much needed revival happening in America on the religious aspects, specifically Christians. So they failed. They failed big time. Legal extraction with Julie McClellan. New subscriber and attorney. Gary, I think you nailed it with the NDA and body armor. That's the variable which fits. Love how you conduct your channel. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Chris?
Criticizing Jews isn't anti-Semitic.
Is.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Criticizing Jews is anti-Semitic. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I mean, criticizing in the proper context is one thing, but criticizing, like you said, a whole people, that's something different. And when we're talking about Israel, what Gary said, we should separate the two because they're not, the same. They're different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can criticize. I think if you want to criticize Jews as a whole, that's fine. But I think the way that language is being even said, but there again, I think there's also some of the people out there spreading this stuff about Jews they have a long record of just being anti-Semitic. And now that this has happened, we have an emotional response. So people are more inclined, I guess, to kind of jump on this, and they're taking them for the ride. So again, like saying that all the problems there's a great speech. I just watched it the other day. I should have had this queued up. There's a great speech. As a matter of fact, James back there, find the speech by Charlie Kirk about how Jews don't cause all the problems. So if we want to take on Jews, I think from Charlie's perspective, regardless if he wants to get away from if he was trying to separate himself from the support of Israel as a country and the current political party, that's one thing. But he has a great speech on that we'll pull up, and I think is worth hearing. Tiff 999, thank you. Appreciate that. Marcus.
You three guys are serious, but having a smiley face so I can see what others are seeing regards of Charlie's security behind the table. I'm a little thrown off by this sentence structure, man. Is he just being kind of playing that we care ourselves very seriously? What does he mean by this?
I think what he's saying is, like, even when we're serious, like, what I would say is that even when you're serious, there's certain facial features that everybody's gonna make. I'm not exactly sure what he's saying, but okay. My response to it is, I could be yelling and angry at Marcus or Chris or whoever, right? And depending on when you snap that photo, you could probably catch me in something that kind of looks like a smile. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if that's exactly.
I agree. I think when I reread that, I think, Gary, that's exactly what he's saying. You can, be serious about a topic, but your body language, your facial features, things can look different. And the video that people are talking about with the people behind the table might look like they're passing off that something nefarious is going on, but that's not actually what's happening, if we're interpreting that correctly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Chris, take that one.
Thank you all for the hard work. Do you have any training companies in San Diego? I own firearms, but need more training. Thank you again for your intelligent content.
Well, I'm the only one in San Diego, right? Where are you at, Chris?
I'm in Texas, near Dallas.
Gotcha. I don't have a training company, but I myself, I coach shooting, and so I'm open to it. But I'm very it's I don't know how to say. I'm open to it, but it depends who you are. So maybe I'll say yes.
Contact Marcus. I think contact Marcus on Twitter, and you may be able to link up and do some cool stuff. James, let me know if you found that video. Kevin Kilpatrick, some outlandish theories. What do you think about cloaking? What do y'all know about cloaking tech? Saw impressive looking military stuff on Discovery Channel a decade or two ago. Real sniper or stealth visual audio drone. I think the fact that we would use that on something like this is just, and here's the problem with any of these theories. When you present some of these other theories, like, it becomes less plausible than what we have. Like, it creates more problems. Where was the drone? People that are saying that drones can target with guns. Folks, there's a reason why the current drone technology, we primarily are dropping guided weapons, got missiles, and guided bombs, right? Actually targeting from a distance and shooting somebody with a drone, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's hard to do. And to be able to carry a payload that would equal to a firearm, a viable firearm that was lethal, you would have to have a big drone, all right? And you would hear that drone without a doubt. So unless they're using technology that they pulled from Area 51 and that Bob Lazar worked on, and then, you know, again, like there's just other, if you have that level of technology, there's just easier, less complicated ways to do this and achieve the same goals. That's part of the problem that I have. Should we trust? You know what, Marcus, I'd like to hear your take on this.
Wow. Should we trust the modern day 3-letter agencies? Should we trust? The thing is, nothing is as simple as should we or should we not in today's day and age. Everything has to be looked at, in my opinion, as a spectrum in the gray, some yes and no. You know, that's the day. That's what we're living in, is a time is more and more complexity, more and more you need discernment. You need to be able to, with a sound mind and being able to basically put emotion aside, analyze things, and just know that there's going to be parts that are true, parts that are false. I think that's the way you have to look at this. Otherwise, you're going to be tugged in one direction or the other, and you're going to be equally useless, and your opinions are going to be equally compromised, because nothing is black or white. So that's my answer.
I think it's a good answer. I think a good case study to point that no, we shouldn't trust some 3-letter agencies is January 6th. In that the way that they prosecuted people, how harshly they prosecuted people, I do not think that it was, the law being applied equally when we talk about J6 versus the George Floyd riots. How it was labeled as an insurrection without firearms. Nobody on that side was actually killed, whereas, Ashley Babbitt was killed and I would say murdered. And if that would have been a leftist group, and especially if Ashley Babbitt had been a minority killed, I think we would have had, under the same circumstances, I think that we would have riots. We'd probably still be having riots and cities would have burned. So I do think that there hasn't been an equal application of the law. And that's definitely one of the areas that I would point to, that we can't trust them and we should hold them accountable. And I think the only way that we can hold them accountable is doing stuff like this, pointing out if what they're saying is true, does the evidence back it? And when it doesn't, we pull out a little bit.
Well, so, just to double tap on some of that a little bit. I grew up, trust is earned. And I think a lot of those 3-letter agencies have lost trust. And the only way to get that back is to earn it back. And, so I think we should be skeptical, but it's different to say, hey, they haven't earned the trust back yet, than to simply say, well, everything that they put out's a lie, because then I think you're taking it to the other extreme. Agreed. And we should kind of be in the middle. So,
and I also think there's a pretty big jump to where they're politically prosecuting people, which is what I think J6 primarily was, to also, hey, they've killed Charlie Kirk. I think there is a big leap there. I'm not saying they're not capable of these things. I'm just saying that so far I haven't seen the evidence for it. Marcus, I just ordered the 48 Laws of Power. Thanks for the tip, Gary. I was trying to be funny earlier. I do agree the soft body armor would clear it up. Well, Werewolf 6, I think you need to stick to your day job because the comedy's not working here. All right. I'm just joking. Cool, man. No worries. I don't care if you're joking or not. I'm just glad to have you here talking smack in the comments. Real quick, I do want to talk real quick. I know we touched on it a little bit already, but I want to kind of walk this through and hear the comments eventually. And I know we're always like 10, 15 minutes behind comments, and that's just the way this works. But this UVU trip, again, so I'll be going out there early next week. Hopefully I'll be able to, I've already got people talking in the chat. I'm sure I'll have other DMs and emails sent to me about people that I can link up with. If anybody knows the administration out at UVU that I might be able to link up with, or teachers, or, professors or anything like that, I am linking up with an alumni. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have a phone call, but we're going to be going out there. We'll do a 3D survey with a drone. That's going to give us down to basically an inch plus or minus of relative elevation. The GPS elevation may not be perfectly on, but again, if the elevation over here on this building is said to be 222.2 feet, and this building over here is going to be 210.2 feet, we can tell that the exact difference between those elevations is 8 foot, right? So the level of fidelity of information that we get out of there is going to be phenomenal. And then we're going to put up a 3D model of that. I am going to try to get other areas. We'll also get video footage with the drone that we're using, I think, has an 8K camera. So it's like some really clear footage. So we'll get some of that. That's not the intent. But I mean, while we're there, we're definitely going to get video footage. We'll probably walk the route. A couple of YouTubers have already contacted me, and we may be linking up with some other folks and do some joint work as well. I'll put the invitation out to Chris Martin, Zeb Boykin, just about anybody out there. There's a couple that I would not link up with no matter what they said. But that being said, if people have suggestions of other information that we should get, I'll definitely get video footage on the foot. I know several people have said the area that was cemented over or paved over. I still don't know if it's pavers or cement. It almost looked like both, or they were grouting in between pavers. So we'll get that information. We'll take a look at the route. I want to walk that route. I think that'll be interesting to see just for myself. And we'll try to share as much information as I possibly can. Marcus and Chris, do you guys have any, suggestions or anything and you guys obviously can text me over the next few days or even while I'm there.
I definitely will. I just want to know the angle. That's the thing I'm most concerned with, is precise measurements of the actual angle from the top of the roof to Charlie. I think that's the most important thing for me. I know you're going to get that. So if I think of something else over the next few days, I'll text you immediately so you have a chance to plan.
Yeah, no, same. I didn't know that you're going to walk the route, so that is pretty cool. I'm very interested to see how that goes and see what you see on the ground and try to play it out in your mind, potentially, what was Tyler thinking in that sort of thing. So I'm really interested to see what you come up with.
If you're willing to go, I'm kind of joking when I say this, but I'm kind of not. If you're willing to put a rifle down your back and actually do the hobble, that would be awesome. I'm not gonna say you have to do that, but maybe get one of your assistants to do it. I don't know. That would be awesome though.
I will get a patsy to do that. No, dear God, no. Just so we know, folks, I will not be bringing any firearms there. Yeah, so threw me off with that one. Yeah, we'll get lots of pictures, lots of video. I'll be staying in the chat, so comments, things like that, and on X. If you're not following us on X, make sure you go down there and follow us on X. Find our handles down in the description below. Go give us a follow. Yeah, Chris, you got any suggestions other than that?
No, that's it.
Why would Israel do it at an event? Probably be done with minimal witnesses, less obvious. Only mystery is how didn't the round exit? Just my opinion. I think that's definitely one of the biggest
Agreed.
mysteries of all this. The letter sent to the Kirk family on 2nd September. I've just sent the link to Marcus' Instagram account.
Okay, let me check. Thanks, Raymond.
Pull that up, Marcus.
Yeah. It's a great question, Travis. And it's going to get worse. So, everybody keeps telling me they're going to wait to buy suppressors after January 1st. Two problems with that is, and I know of a company that if you want to get one, I highly recommend it. I don't know if you put the name of this channel and then .com at the end of that. What we've suggested to people is that you purchase them now and then you wait till January 1st to file your ATF forms, which, I don't know. That company that I just mentioned, they'll probably hold on to it for you for that long, because the problem is that we're already seeing with suppressors as well is that it's going to be, we're already running into a backlog of production. Thunder Beast Arms, for instance, a company that I highly recommend, they're about 12 to 16 months backlog just on production. Like if you ordered one today, you'd probably get it for 12, 16 months down the road. There's other companies that I recommend and we use that have a much less of a wait time. That being said, come January 1st, when there's this rush on suppressors, every company is going to be running the same problem, and we're going to have the same problem that we're having now, and that is the ATF. Even though they don't cost anything, they're going to be backlogged for months and months and months. So just know that bottleneck has already taken place, and it's just going to get worse. Supermug says Israel's so sophisticated and tirelessly working to keep the U.S.'s support that they're going to kill Charlie Kirk, knowing how close he is to the President Trump and the administration? ? Shaking my head. Yeah, right. I agree with that assessment. It makes no sense. I think taking him out causes more problems than solutions for Israel, and I think they're smart enough to know that. Criticizing Israel isn't anti-Semitic. Absolutely, I agree with that. You can criticize the government, Bibi Netanyahu, their prosecution of this war in Gaza, which I think there's a lot to be said and a lot of criticism to be had there. It's a crazy situation. I don't know that I try to put myself in their shoes. If people came into my country and took the hostages, held hostages, did the things that they did to women, I'd probably be out for blood too. And I can understand that. Marcus?
I am a 54-year-old father of 3 and grandfather of 5, business owned with lots of things to worry about, and I ain't forgot yet. I won't forget. Rock on. Yeah. I'm glad that we were able to take that moment and just state clearly that I don't want to forget about this. I want to learn from this. I want to figure out who did it, and bring justice for Charlie, and I want to honor him and his legacy as best I can. So, rock on.
Odorized ramblings. I've always been a proponent of taking anyone to the range, teaching, helping them any way I can on their 2A journey. What's your take on helping, training, and obviously radical person going forward? This is a problem that I've always been faced with. There's a couple of things when it comes to even teaching tactics and some of the stuff that we teach. There's always been some criticism says you shouldn't teach regular civilians like that. I would say that there's no way for you to know, ultimately. Now, there could be clear signs. There have been people that have concerned me, and not necessarily in a radical ways, in other ways that, suddenly our classes are always full for them. I think if you can, do some due diligence. I don't know what else to say to that. The fact is that liberty is dangerous. It's the name of this freaking thing, right? There's always a chance that somebody can. One of the things I always worried about after Chris Kyle, right? Is somebody going to try to smoke you on the range? It's something that I take very seriously and consider and think about, as well as my instructors. Like, we're not out there on the range without loaded firearms, even if we're not doing a demonstration or anything else, and it's for that very reason. So those are all things you got to consider. And, at the end of the day, you're always accepting some risk, and it can happen. And I don't know, like, one of the things I think about is like, hey, if I would die for my country, I would die for the values that this country stands on, are you willing to take some risk? And my answer is yes. I think what we do has a net positive, and helping people understand the importance of the Second Amendment and getting them trained so they can defend themselves. They can be independent Americans, self-sufficient Americans that don't think the only answer, or they're only left with the answer of calling 911. I think that's abdicating your responsibility. I think every American out there, if they are sane and they are legally allowed to, should be carrying a firearm, should be trained. We are the militia. That's what America is all about. That's what my thoughts on that. Marcus.
Oh, Marcus left. There he goes.
You came back just in time. Waiting on you, Marcus. No, you came back just in time. Your mic's muted.
Thank you. Marcus, front armor, back armor. If no front, Why have back? Well, that's a good question. The thing is, we're speculating, right? We don't know for sure, but he may have a reason to, basically want to cover his back because he can only cover so much, and he's more concerned with his frontal image, but then he knows, like, while he's putting all of his attention on his front and his audience, he may just want to protect himself from being shot in the back. I mean, so he may have more on the back than the front. We're just speculating. We don't know for sure, but I'm open to that. I would much rather have a conversation about this than trapdoors and things like that. You know what I mean?
The rest of this segment, we're going to cover trapdoors.
My thought is
I'm gone. I'm gonna bounce.
Go ahead, Chris. What were you going to say?
My thought is highly unlikely. I mean, if he's not wearing front, he's not wearing back. Or, if he's wearing back, he's wearing front.
Look, there was a lot of guys, I'm sure, I don't know about the SEAL teams. There was lots of times, and we even see it in Black Hawk Down, right? I could see conceivably where someone might only wear front armor, and I definitely have been on missions where guys were only wearing front armor. Been there, done that. Only wearing back armor makes no sense. I think if he was wearing body armor, he had panels in front and back.
The thing, Gary, is the place where we're seeing the bulge is so high up that would suggest a wraparound, but you can see his nipples. So it doesn't make sense to me that he would have a small little panel here, but then a full wraparound back. Because he's that bulge.
To be clear, I'm not that bulge. I'm not convinced that that's actually the body armor.
Oh.
I think that could very possibly be the necklace that we see flying eventually, or portions of that necklace flying backwards. Because, I don't think that you could, Chris, you tell me, you're the doctor. I don't think you could have that much deformation of the skin and not actually have a major breach and bleeding breach in the skin. What is your thought on that? Because it comes back like 10 inches.
I think just based on what we see from that one frame, that would be highly improbable to at least have some sort of blistering or something like that with the amount of stretch of the skin. And I agree, it doesn't look large enough to be the scapula, although this portion of the scapula could have broken and then part of it shifted. That's possible. But like I said before, when we were talking about the scapula, it's primarily connected by muscles and connective tissue and things like that, so that scapula, you can pull someone's scapula up off their rib cage.
Well, I'm talking about, the bulge right back at, I don't know what C this is, right? But right here is basically where he's talking about is there's that large bulge back. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Marcus, where it would be like this is going like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on. I got a picture of it somewhere.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And so what is that? All right. I thought up to this point, Gary was considering that his armor was catching the round and basically containing it. But that's not what you're saying.
No, I don't. I do think that what we see is possibly containing the armor. I just don't think that bulge portion is part of that. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Thanks for clearing that up, because then that makes more sense. Now I understand your point better. A little bit better.
I got a video just so everybody is on the same page here. Let me see. Let me get rid of this. Oh, that doesn't really show this well. I picked literally the worst video ever. I apologize.
I can get you.
Marcus, you have that one from Charlie's left, which was a better shot of that, better video.
Let me get that.
Yeah, because again, the chain breaking and flying back, I've always thought that basically what we had was that chain was hanging on his neck. We have rapid expansion of the chain or the neck, and that was enough to propel. And by the way, I think we've kind of proven that. I got some guys on Twitter that I put that through, filtered that through, and they've done some math on it. I don't know how compelling it is to anybody, but I do think that's legitimate. So anyways, I think that's actually the back of the necklace going backwards very quickly. Then we're bringing up the front. Then it snaps. Yeah, that's what I think it is. I don't think that's actually. Yeah, I don't think that's actually some of his anatomy that we're seeing there. Let me see if this is it. Here's one from the left. I don't know if.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, I will put yours up there. I'm sure I
oh,
screwed this up again too.
Share screen. Window. Okay, it's ready for you.
Boom. Yeah. See, I don't think that is body armor.
Okay, so that's not the structure you're talking about. You're
No,
talking
no,
about
no.
this.
That right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that looks like the size of a ballistic panel that you would have right there.
To be fair, it does. Well, the thing is, he's a big guy, right? It's kind of short. It's a little shorter than I would expect him to wear, but it does fill out that area that you would have it protecting the vitals.
Look at the top too, and again, if he's carrying something low pro, he's only going to have enough on to carry to protect his vitals. So if it's low profile, but the structure that I'm talking about is not only the bottom portion of this, but if you go up to the top too, there's a clear delineation right there at the very top edge of right there. That looks structured to me. It also looks like, again, I think what we have is ballistic panels that are contoured to his body that are in something like a compression shirt.
But the thing you were saying, right, is if this is pretty much covering his whole back, right? Would you agree that it's kind of the size of it is covering his whole back, right?
Sure.
But then the front, I have an issue because you can see his nipples. So when you guys were saying if he's not wearing front, he's not wearing back. But this looks like his whole back, where the front, you can clearly see his nipples. So there's no way there's body armor there. But it would be probably the same coverage front and back, right?
No, I don't think that at all. Like, as a matter of fact, even like if you wear soft body armor, the what's on the back is different than the front. It goes lower than the front. It completely changes. And again, if you are making low pro body armor, like, you're going to cover what you need to cover and what can easily conceal based on testing, looking, and everything else. And you can definitely conceal the back much easier than the front. And again, I still kind of go back to, you know what? I'll pull up this photo too.
Well, the other thing that's possible as well is he could have had a plate, form-fitting plate on the front, low profile, that sort of thing, to take more damage in the front and the vitals, but only have had soft armor in the back because he was thinking that was less risky to him. He has that banner behind him. He has his team behind him. So the odds of him getting shot in the back are lower. So he doesn't wear a plate in the back versus wearing soft. So, I mean, just all speculation, but just some different possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, all of that stuff I think is extremely plausible. I mean, that's what it ultimately comes down to. And I also kind of go back and forth on the fact that there are times that you can definitely see Charlie and it looks like he's not wearing anything in the front, but once he is sat down, like, there are times when it looks less form, like, I don't think you can see his nipples. And again, I know people have said there was no break or anything like that. I don't know. Like, I don't know if something changed, or if he ducked out to use the back. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that my theory is 100%, but what I am saying is, like, if we're going to look for separate shooters in different locations to explain the ballistics, to me, a more simpler answer, a more likely answer, is that he was wearing some sort of low profile body armor. That's basically what I'm saying. And I want to pull up, I just saw a great picture or video on this. Won't let me add that type of file. Anyways, so, that's what I'm saying.
Is
Gotcha.
that part right there, is that the first frame and the next frame is the bigger part?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Okay.
got three frames. Like this all happens in 3 frames, which is it's all we get. It's all we get. And
Now,
I think
now, Chris, if that is not, let me say it this way: if that's just not like randomized airflow, right, and expansion in, I don't know, impact or whatever else, is there any physiology that would explain that? Does that look like his scapula? Like, it looks like, it doesn't make sense to me, but you tell me.
Based on location, it would be pretty close. Charlie's a little bit bigger guy, so I would expect to see the scapula a little bit bigger, but there are some elements of it that could potentially be scapula. It just, there's not enough there for me to be like, oh yeah, that's a scapula. And then when you continue on the rest of it, like you've already mentioned before, that shot right there, there's definitely no clear spinous processes that you see, which you should be able to see that.
Yeah.
If it's going to bulge like that. So
Yeah.
the rest of that does not have any type of physiological structure that you would expect to see.
Fair enough. I guess we're not going to solve it tonight then, right?
No.
Is that what I thought? I thought you guys said, I promised the viewers we would have it solved tonight, and now you made me a liar.
I wish.
I'm a ginger, but Doc Chris needs to stay out of the sun.
Hey, I think when we started the show, we said something about me being on a fishing trip this weekend. So I was on the lake, I was in the sun. So yeah.
Bring Osmond Gold to the Team Truth for Kirk as well. I don't know who that is, but by the laughing faces, the plethora of them, I'm going to say that that's not right. Question everything. Lots and lots of exclamation points. Israel must have FAFO mentality with all the haters living 360 degrees next door. I agree with that. Chris, take this one.
Google Earth does get distance wrong, so I would like for a real-time measurement from the roof to where the tent is at. I agree. Yeah, I'm looking forward to you getting that.
And we proved that with Butler. There was some big disparities between some of the measurements given, for sure. Great work, guys. I love the work you're doing. Gary, $100 to see you do a PLF off the roof, UVU. You need more than $100. $1,000. I'll try to talk somebody into it. Marcus, take this one.
Off topic, Ron DeSantis passed a tax-free holiday till December 31st. Hunting, fishing, camping, firearms, ammo, etc. Bass/Cabela's and other retailers are going crazy. X shopping if you guys are close. All right. They need to hire you, Heidi.
Dang.
I'll let you guys. I'm going to see Ron DeSantis, and I'm going to race in West Virginia. So West Virginia has passed a law that all ammo and firearms are tax-free permanently. And by the way, if you buy that out of state, you also get to reap those rewards.
Dang.
Come to West Virginia. It's wild and wonderful up in here. Chris, take that one.
Obviously, whoever did it also has the power to make the FBI and DOJ cover for them, probably by blackmailing with people like Epstein. I mean, I don't disagree with that. If they're large enough and, have enough power, then they could corrupt that whole unit. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but also do know people that work for some of those agencies and that I think are genuine people. So
yeah, there are definitely people within the FBI and other government organizations that are awesome people that are incorruptible, without a doubt. They would not be bought off by something like this. I would, like, if I was in one of these agencies and somebody tried to, it would just piss me off. I'm like, well, going to post some shit on Facebook right now. All right, that's how I would react to that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are true patriots that would also react. And that's the point, is you're saying obviously whoever did this has the power to do that. I don't think they do. I don't know that power necessarily exists because it's too complicated, too many people, and too many options to fail there.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify. It would be obvious if you're on the conspiracy train, which I am not. So,
yeah. Marcus.
When you go to UVU for the scan, don't forget that Charlie was sitting on an elevated platform. Good point. Well, The thing is, as long as he gets all those measurements, we can add in those variables, take them away, and so that'll be one of the nice things about, I think, what Gary's able to get.
One thing that we were lacking in the Butler 3D model, which I can actually pull up, I haven't looked at in a while. Yeah, so this is, matter of fact, I'll just show you guys, and we have let me share this screen. Fairgrounds PX, and then we go back over here, and I add this to the thing. All right, so this is the Butler. This is the scan that we took, right? So here's a bunch of measurements that we have, and the cool thing about this is, like, literally you can go in these buildings, and you can look out. You can look, if I can turn this around. Let's play with this 3D. I screwed everything up. Anyways, you can literally, there we go. I got it. There we go. So you can, like, look out these windows or look out and get the viewpoint from there and see exactly what you would see. And all this stuff is extremely precise. And again, one of the things that we found, I do wish we would have gotten more footage and more scans of the water tower at the time, but we're going to get something very similar to this. Now, the one thing we were lacking in this footage, in this 3D scan, was the ability to build models of all the different structures and things like that were in here, right? So the platform that he was on, there was some other structures over here, there was the cranes and all the other stuff. There's people that can do that, and then if somebody has that capability, and we can team up to where we can, basically what I'd like to do is, like, put the tent where it was. We can get pretty good estimates of where the tent was, the height of the tent, and all those things, and some of that other stuff that obviously is not going to be there now. It would be really great to kind of recreate some of that stuff.
That would be awesome, because then you could, again, look at some of those concepts that we've talked about. Shooter potentially off to Charlie's left, like 11 o'clock ish, up on that one building. Would it have been possible with the angle, or would it have been looking through the tent? Like all these, and even on the right back, that whole thing.
Yep. Valhalla, Range Day Bro, Black Scout Survival have good takes. Would you have them on the show? Have you had threats to you? How do you all deal with them? So Nate over at Valhalla, we've done a show together early on. I would have no problem doing any show with him. I've been sent Range Day Bros work a lot. I don't know who he is, to be honest with you. I know some of his theories. I disagree with them. I don't know who Black Scout Survival is at all. But Nate was that first group too. As a matter of fact, come to find out, after we were talking about it, we were both in the same company, or at least the same battalion. Maybe it was an Alpha company. I think he was in Bravo company though, as well as me. So different times. We kind of missed each other. I was there before him, but I like Nate. Nate's a good dude. I disagree with him on a few things, but that's okay. Who gives a shit? As far as threats go, I have had threats. I don't know if you guys look. There's people I'm not going to give oxygen to. Went on this two guys that went on this year-long, literally months and months and months long tirade about me being a racist, me being a Nazi, and all this other stuff, only because I proved them wrong. And I made a video debunking a video in a theory during Butler. And at the time, I didn't know it was theirs. I didn't know their video. I didn't know these people's names. And the next thing I know, I'm getting attacked on X. I got people calling my business. I got, there's people showing up to my business to confront me. And at the time, it's no longer this way, because we have increased security and put some other things in place. But, at the time, there was people showing up to my business to confront me over being some Nazi racist or some nonsense. And only my wife was there. So yeah, we did have threats. and we've taken additional protective measurements for that. And that's the problem. It's like I don't care. Like I'm not threatened by anybody. But the problem is that I can't be home and I can't be around my wife and kids all the time, 24/7, and that's what I'm concerned about. I mean, come at me, bro. You're not going to win that fight, I promise you. So, anyways, that's how I've addressed those things. I don't know. Have you guys had any threats or anything like that?
Yeah, it's laughable. I mean, nothing like you've experienced. And yeah, if anybody has a problem, yeah, there's better ways to sort it out. And if you're just crazy enough to come here and try to find me, then good luck.
Yeah.
Over this particular thing, no, just because I don't think I'm as big of a voice as you are, Gary. You have a lot more followers. You're much more visible to people. So you're impacting more people, whether that's positive or negative. So over this particular situation, no. In the past, for other situations, yes. But again, I'm kind of like Marcus. Sometimes it's just like, okay, well, and like you, Gary, I mean, you know, I have a family too. So it is something that I do take note of and try to be cautious about. And I know it's something that gives, you know, my family some pause. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Clinton Grove, thank you very much. Multiple drones plus triangulating range doesn't need line of sight. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. You need a line of sight to make a shot. And some of the propositions that I've heard, I'm quite sure that either there's not a place to put someone there, or there isn't a line of sight, meaning I think there's too many things in the way, or it's so far back and the elevation isn't like things like people have talked about putting shooters way back on these other buildings. The problem is that those aren't high enough to actually see the target, right? So I'm not sure exactly what the multiple drones thing are. You know, for instance, if Tyler was 50 feet further back where he shot from, he wouldn't have a line of sight. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. And then there are some other places people have proposed that I think there would be things in the way. Do you guys have any other input on that or understand exactly what he's saying?
No, I don't. I think you did a great job trying to answer that. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Shooter bends knee 90 degrees with the rifle and pants. So the best breakdown of this continues to be Gray Hughes over at Gray Hughes Investigates. The idea is that the rifle stock, the rifle barrel doesn't go past his knee, right? So, and it wouldn't, especially if he removed. And I think to some degree, there's a little bit of speculation even on whether or not he did indeed remove the stock, but I do think he did. So we're left with a barreled action that's this long that he can have up here in his backpack or behind his backpack. And then the barrel end of it is only going to go down to just above the crook in his knee, maybe even only like halfway down his thigh. I do think there's a picture of him that they released that's on the stairwell where he's starting to turn to go up. It's at the landing. He's starting to turn. I think in that picture, it's hard to tell, but it looks like to me you can see the outline of a barrel on his right leg in the back of his, on his back of his right leg. Is that how you guys understand it? The kind of what people are proposing that's how he carried it?
I would love to see this screenshot where he bends his knee at a 90 degrees angles. I've got so much footage. I have not seen this.
Yeah, so I agree. I haven't seen, and of the footage that I have seen, the knee is barely bending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've never seen a 90 degree. That's a good point. Like I've never seen a 90 degree bend in any of that stuff.
People were saying this earlier, and they were talking about, well, you can see him running on the roof because they didn't see the gun in his hand. And so I'm thinking maybe possibly still talking about that, which we've already, basically confirmed. He didn't have the rifle back in his back while he was running off the roof for exfil. He had it in his arm. It's just hard to see because it's so pixelated. So if you're talking about that, then there's your answer. Other than that, before he shoots, I would like to see that screenshot. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. David, this is a point that I've made too, and I agree with you. You can see skin tone in his shirt, in his sleeve. Once it gets up to right here, it looks like there's something underneath, and it's less see-through. And that, like you stated, the shirt is actually tighter to the body, so you should see more skin tone because that shirt is fairly sheer, and you should see more skin tone, but it actually looks more opaque at right here at the shoulder. So I agree. I pointed this out. Chris.
The spouse is always the one suspect in a murder case. I agree that happens a lot. You always look at, you never want to just shy away because someone is a spouse or a family member. But I don't think there's any evidence other than, people saying she appears to, be winning the award for best actress or something like that. But other than that, I don't see any evidence that Erica has any involvement here.
I agree. Asmongold is 11 million followers rep creator. Then no, I wouldn't have him on. You got to be at least 14 million before I'll even consider you. Marcus.
It hit body armor, then chain deflected out of back plate. Look, it's a plausible theory, but nothing's definitive. So thanks for sharing your thought, but I'm not going to be definitive with you on that. I'm open to it.
High angle shot through tent. Thank you, Clinton Grove. High angle shot through tent from drone to line of sight also explains C2 to C6 vertebrae damage. I will say, and Chris, you jump in here too, but I will say that if we had a super high angle shot, I could see why it would make more sense. But then a super high angle shot also doesn't explain the wound to the neck. And it also doesn't explain if it's going through the tent. That's like, we're talking like 50, probably between 40 and 60 degrees or more. Now nothing makes sense because we have a high angle shot. We have a shot to the neck. That round would go directly down. I don't know how it would impact the C vertebrae above. What's your thoughts, Chris?
So I'll go back to what I said before, which is if we're going to go down the conspiracy road, then you have to be open to the possibility that it wasn't from the front or from the left, but it was actually from basically the 4 o'clock or something like that. So that's the only way in my mind that you hit all of those areas, depending on how much damage was done. I mean, if the bullet shattered all those and didn't just cause like a simple hangman's fracture type thing or spinal cord damage from the sheer velocity of it and all that. But if it actually blew those discs, those vertebrae, all that stuff, then yeah, high angle shot makes sense to me. But the only way it makes sense is if it's back right and the neck is an exit wound. That's the only way it makes sense. But then you see no evidence of a hole in the tent at any time. And we have people that walked around and were up and doing video, and you can see the tent. There doesn't appear to be light shining through. So you're dismissing some of those facts. And at the same time, you're dismissing some of the other evidence pieces that we have.
And I think you're dismissing that we have a supersonic event. I think that's very clear from that trajectory. We have a gun going off from there. And then the other big thing too is like, how do you have a drone that can hold that type of payload and we not hear it? Because I think that would be very difficult to explain. Like a larger drone, like the little DJI Mavic Pro at 200, 300 feet, you can see and hear that thing. Something big enough to carry a payload like a firearm, that's going to be like one of these quadcopters at least. And man, that's going to be loud unless they're using some super high, crazy tech that, somehow quiets it down. And, Bob Lazar worked on it. The main thing that I want to point out here, Chris, if you look here toward the camera for a minute, is that I just realized how beautiful blue eyes that you have. We're just gonna keep you in the screen all night.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. Uh, jacket separation, jacket neck, core, and chest relies on body armor theory again, but possible on deflecting depending on the body armor. Could have jacket caused the spinal damage? I think it could have. Yeah, we got to figure out if he had body armor or not, right? I think that's kind of the crux of this stuff. Thing learned is don't laugh off threats, be safe. Yeah, I agree. I mean, emailed you those release pics of his legs bent. Okay. Marcus, take this one. I'll see if he emailed it to me.
Drone with air gun, period. Multiple drones to triangulate shot, super high tech.
I think you've been watching too much John Cullen, to be honest.
You know what? He paid $50, so let me. Let's entertain.
Well,
right? So
more than 50. He's donated a couple different times.
That's 250 at this point. So
wow. Well, the thing is that we could just tear this theory apart, and so I mean, I hope that's what you want to hear is that you want us to basically speculate, talk about it, so you can get an answer. If you're already have your answer, Clinton, then I would imagine there's no need to really share it with us. So if you want us to speculate on it, I think we could just tear it apart from limb to limb like they were just doing it. If you want us to continue going down that road with all that tech and all that those resources to be able to pull that off somehow, you would never shoot through something that's at a target that's more than a couple feet, has more than a couple feet distance from whatever medium you're shooting through. You would just never do that because once a round goes through anything, after 1 or 2 feet, there's no way to predict where that round is going to deviate off to, how it's going to yaw, and what direction it's going to shoot off into. So if you're investing all this time and resources and technology into ensuring that this happens, the last thing you would do in your plan is shoot through some tent material, risk hitting something, deflecting something. You just never do it.
The other thing too is, folks, air guns aren't quiet. I don't know if you've watched or actually shot like one of these 30 caliber air guns. Like they're as loud as like a suppressed, louder than like a suppressed 22, more like I mean, at least like 300 black. They're not quiet. A little bit louder than that, I would say. I mean, they get up into, I don't know. I'll look it up. Chris, I know you were about to say something. I'm going to look at the decibels.
No, I mean, what I would like to say, Clinton, I don't know if you've sent any information to any of us, but I mean, I don't want to dismiss your theories or make it seem like we're just dismissing them or something like that. So I'd be interested in the technology that you're talking about, whether you have pictures or some data sets. We could say, okay, what is the possibility or probability of this? Again, as I stand right now, I don't think that that's the case, but still I'd be willing to take a look at whatever you have.
Yeah, so I'm just looking up, folks. An unmoderated 30 cal air gun can produce noise levels of around 115 decibels. So that's loud. And I've shot these before, and I was shocked at how loud an air gun actually was. So, I mean, you can quiet those down a little bit, but they're still going to be over like 100 decibels, which is, I mean, it's louder than that. It's probably around 70. So I don't think they're as quiet as people think they are. I'll just put it that way.
Well, I guess the other thing that I would say about that too is, I mean, I don't have too much ballistic knowledge on. We do have some air guns and things like that, but I can't see one producing enough energy to do the type of movement that occurs when what we see with Charlie.
Yeah,
I could be wrong about that. I've never ballistic tested that, but it doesn't make sense to me.
No, I mean, they have some pretty serious air guns, but like if you're going to be, they have like 30 cal, and then they even have like 50 cal air guns that will like literally kill a freaking moose. But again, the other part of this is like if you have I don't know if everybody's seen like a PCP air gun. It's pneumatic. I forgot what PCP. Basically, it has a big old air bottle on it thing. Like you have to have something. These air guns are not small. They're freaking just as big as a regular gun, and they're loud when they release that air. So I don't think it's as simple a cut and dry as some of this other stuff. There's definitely some people out there. I have a good idea where this theory is coming from. I know who's pushing it. And what THT built an angle chances of hitting C1, C2, C3? With that built an angle, with that bullet an angle chances hitting C1, C2, C3. I think Chris had the best option. If it's gonna, again though. So Chris, if you're saying, hey, it could come off from like the 4 o'clock, go into here, hit those, but then lodge into the T1, that's the problem that I have from, if that's true, if that report is true, right? We're going off of that too.
Well, yeah. I mean, so T1's not that far from C6. I mean, most people can feel in the back part of their neck there, the major bump that you feel is either C7 or T1. It's a variant. It's different in everybody, but it's roughly C7 or T1. So, I mean, we're talking a span of 4.5 to 6.5 inches roughly from C2 for the average person. So it's not that far to say that if it did hit C6, that at least a fragment would be near T1. But that's not what Stephen Gardner says. He says the majority of the bullet is found at T1 and the other fragments are up further. So then if we're saying he was shot from the right down through, then now you also need a fragment that's big enough to have caused the opening exit from the front.
Yeah. So again, every time we come up with these alternative theories, I feel like there's less physical evidence to support those than kind of the narrative, right? Lance is still missing, so we should question what's up. I don't think he's missing, guys. We've talked about this before. If you guys don't know, Lance is the furry trans boyfriend. I don't think he's missing. I think he's in protective custody or just in custody. He may be sitting in a jail cell somewhere because of, I think they're going to find that he definitely knew about this. So at a minimum, he knew about it and didn't stop it. Folks, we're going to do like 5 minutes of going through just the lives as we go and answer those, and we'll get everybody out of here. Remember, the furry people can shapeshift. Got alien tech invisibility cloaks from Biden. That is fact. Write that down. No lies detected.
Check in the box.
The old green man, OAP. So imagine the cattle bolt gun and 18 years of tech.
Cattle bolt gun, man.
The only stupid crap is all these conspiracy theories. There's a mountain of evidence showing TR did this. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. The thing that we can't explain is the ballistics, but I think the rest is, I don't know. Again, I'll entertain anything. Just all you gotta do is show me some proof. Like, you got to make it make sense for me, and I'll jump on board with just about anything. It doesn't make sense because TPUSA is lying along with LDS. Cover up the media silence, podcasting misinformation. Stephen Gardner is not necessarily legit. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, what are we like? I don't think Stephen, if anything, well, okay. PC air guns are usually bigger than a bolt rifle, quite loud if lethal power. I feel this idea is rather silly. Why do that versus a suppressed firearm? I agree with that. It's been my experience with them. Benjamin Netanyahu is turning 76 on 10/21/2025. He's a great friends with Charlie, who is Jared Kushner's father. Charlie Kirk is a distraction. That's my belief. All right, I'm trying to extrapolate the inference here. Kushner, or Charlie Kushner, who's Jared Kushner's father. Charlie Kirk is a distraction. That's my belief. All right. Is the Discord chat real? Seems to be undecided. I think it's real, right? I mean, I think we got some pretty solid reports from that the last time I checked. Now I've forgotten that exact piece and where that came from, but I think it's real.
Me too.
I don't know if
I
somebody
I
wants
think
to.
I think it's real.
I think it's real.
Yeah. How come the wound didn't move when Charlie was shot? His body moved backward and the wound stays in the same spot for a split second.
I think I know what he's talking about. It's really strange. I think it's an artifact of the really poor quality video. But there's one frame where the wound just appears to be floating there, like almost like it's a CGI type of. It does look strange, and it caught my eye. But I saw it
Hologram,
on,
bro.
Yeah, that I think
Hologram.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I think it's just an artifact of just poor quality footage, and the pixels are basically the red pixels are the light is telling the pixels to be red, but it's in just 4 little squares, and so the fidelity of him moving is just within those 4 squares, if that makes sense. That's what I think it is. So it's just poor quality.
Yeah. Paramount Tactical, is Nix still online for any purchases that use that service with the government shutdown? I believe it is. I'd have to ask my wife. She does all the Nix checks. I'm pretty sure it is. I can't resist. Do y'all ever just read your comments? Some sound so crazy, like dude was shot and killed. Why the F does this and everything have to be a conspiracy? The comments are fun. They're fun.
I do go back and read some of these comments after the fact.
This peace agreement is Bible prophecy being fulfilled, and they link Charlie Kirk with Israel, which made no sense until today. I'm glad you have found clarity on that. Watch Crime Explorer's video with many questions included. Also, they share a video that was shot from behind Charlie that shows the team working on him. I will try to find that out. Crime Explorers. Jamie, write that down. Crime Explorers. Let's see here. His body armor, then fragments, goes out neck, down rest, goes out back, explains the shirt movements. I'm not sure that makes sense to me. Lance is cooperating. The furry came from interpretation of engraved bullets. High are in the same place as fake text. Fake changing documents by Utah Bureau of Investigation. LDS connects with CIA, FBI. There's pictures of him in, I don't know. I don't see grown men wearing pajamas that have, but I don't know. It's a different generation. Maybe that's the thing. There's definitely pictures of Lance in some sort of pajamas or something with some ear things.
Looking furry.
Yeah, I'm going with furry. All right, last 2 comments. All 3, thank you for your service. From the sniper's position diagonally down, is it possible for the bullet at an angle to have done exactly what transpired, meaning the result? Marcus, you take that.
I think yes. I think bullets. I've seen and I've heard stranger stories and similar stories of bullets doing weirder things just like this. It's hard for people to believe, but I guarantee if you do a couple internet searches, you'll find some crazier stories of bullets doing crazier things. I think the hearsay part of this is to be questioned about what Steve Gardner's put out, and some of these people saying the heart was exploded, and some of the people are saying the C1 vertebrates exploded. Not everything could have been exploded, so something's wrong there. But to answer your question, could this round have hit where it hit and killed how it did what it did to him, and then the severed the carotid and then the blood? Yes, I think yes.
Yeah, the lack of an exit wound is anomalous. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's generally, and look, we may find out what type of bullet he used, and maybe something different, and we may find it and then we're like, oh, that was all right. Now it makes sense. But it is anomalous. It's the most anomalous part of all of this thing. AI Omar says, I joke a lot, but sincerely thank you guys. Z time, it's past my Z time too. And the last question of the night, Mary Yannick, the 3 of you are the only ones making sense out there. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary, and thank you everybody that's watching. And again, I can't thank both Marcus and Chris for coming on here, and make sure you guys go follow them. I think they're two solid voices that need to be heard. And I want to thank you guys for coming on and everything you do. And thank you for your service. Thank you for being great Americans. Thank you for requiring some logic, some common sense, and joining me and hopefully being a voice of reason. And again, folks, I'm open to anything. I genuinely try not to dismiss anything as long as it has some sort of backing and has some sort of explanation behind it. And final words, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Gary, for inviting me on again to give my opinions and thoughts on the whole situation and kind of sift through this stuff like we said before, try to get to the bottom of it to figure out what does that mean for us, because this was a major event and we need to figure out what it means for us and how we can try to get back to America, Americans first, and being able to have the God-given rights that were given to us without, fear of assassination and things like that. So again, thank you for having me on, and thank you everyone out there for your comments and participating.
Marcus.
Yeah. Like to second that and just give praise and honor to Charlie Kirk, his legacy, what he built. I hope it continues growing. I hope it has the opposite effect of whoever did this, and that it becomes more powerful than ever, and that we continue having more people going to church, more people building a relationship with God and the Creator, and I just want to be a proponent of that, as well as and just say thank you to Gary for giving me a platform to share my opinion, and I hope it's been helpful to someone out there, bringing clarity. That's all I want is I want to know. I want to know my enemy. I want to know, is Tyler my enemy, or is been people like him, that ideology? Is that what I need to look for in the future, or is this some larger conspiracy? And so at this current moment, I don't think it's a huge, large conspiracy, and that's just what I think based on evidence. It's not that I'm not open to that. So, but I'll continue being open to, like Gary said, I'm continue to being open to all input, ideas. And I'm willing to look at anything as long as it makes sense. But at this point, that's what I think. So, thank you, Gary, and people and everyone listening. So I appreciate it.
Well said, and the pleasure is all mine. Both you two, as well as everybody over in the comments. Look, we really appreciate you watching, and hopefully anything we said was helpful and informative. And I don't know, I really appreciate the comments where people are saying, "Hey, what you're saying is giving me some peace of mind." So. If we're doing that for two people, it's all worth it. Anyways, folks, stay tuned for definitely be Wednesday. We're always going to hit it on Wednesday at 8 p.m. We may have something in between. I don't know. We'll see how everything goes. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you.